first and foremost, I want to say thank you guys for being here, because today's a very different and special type of event given what's been going on over the past 24 to 48 hours. So I want to say thank you guys for being here, and thank you to Lee and Scott and Ashley and Talia for dealing with all of this, and all the staff on Rays of Life. Just give them a hand. So I was thinking a lot today what I want to say, because there's a lot to say. And what happened over the past 48 hours is not surprising for anybody who doesn't know what I'm talking. Raise your hand if you don't know what I'm talking about. Great. So I'm going to give you a preface, and then I'm going to give you a story. And then we're going to show you what's actually going on here. One of my main messages always, and this is something that Scott and I share together on interviews and speak about this all the time, is it's not all about the people in power that are the problem. It's we the people that need to make a change in order to change the world. And there are some people that don't understand that, and what happened over the past 24 to 48 hours is a perfect example to show that it's not about certain people in power. It's about how we deal with one another. So I'm going to give you a little metaphor story that somebody told me like a year or two ago. I love it, and I want to bring it up today to segue into what we're going to be speaking about. If you take 100 red ants and 100 black ants and you put them in a jar, nothing's going to happen. They're not going to fight. They're going to mind their own business, and everything's going to be okay. If you shake that jar, and then you take the 100 red ants and the 100 black ants, and you put them on the ground, they're going to fight to the death. Because the black ants assume that the red ants are the enemy, and the red ants assume that the black ants are the enemy, and suddenly they're fighting. And the problem here is that the ants are paying attention to themselves instead of asking, who is shaking the jar? That's exactly what's going on here in our world today on a global level, and now on a local level. You see, there's no bad or good when it comes to the red ants or the black ants. There is no enemy over there. The problem is who is shaking that jar, and why don't we know that somebody's shaking that jar? Over the past 24, 48 hours, there has been just that in this town, the town that I grew up in, of Port Washington. We held this event, and the red ants and the black ants started going against each other. But who shook it? I'll tell you exactly what happened. The mainstream media, run by certain corporations and organizations, that's not a theory for anybody that may be listening to this that doesn't understand that. There's about 5 corporations that run all of our mainstream media here in the United States. Fact checked on that one. They have a certain way of doing things through headlines, writing certain things. They're not allowed to directly lie, even though they do. But headlines are how they get you, because they know that we're lazy. We're not going to read everything. I'll give you a perfect example. You guys know about the movie Sound of Freedom? Mm-hmm. Sound of Freedom is a movie that the Energy Enhancement System, Unified, we came together, we helped fund that movie. I'm an executive producer on that movie. Look what they did. QAnon conspiracies, how to politicize, and how it's possible to politicize a problem having to do with something that affects all parties, regardless of beliefs. There are children getting hurt factually, and we need to do something to raise awareness to save that from happening. And it became a Democrat and a Republican game of QAnon and non-QAnon, whatever it may be, whatever that is. And they turned it into the red ants and the black ants coming against each other, because at the end of the day, the individuals, the organizations that did what they did to try to shut this event down, to condemn this event in the town of Port Washington, let's get one thing straight. In my opinion, they're not bad people. They're misguided people. They're misled people. They're people that read something and take it for the truth. And if we don't remember that, then we're going to be the black ants that try to fight the red ants. That's where compassion comes in, to understand, where is this all really coming from? The shaker is your media. The shaker has to do with certain people with certain agendas. Not the people that are trying to shut this event down in our local town. And when we can come to understand that, we understand that those people are not bad people. Again, they're misled and they're misguided, and it's our job not to fight them on the local level. It's our job to show them, to sit with them, to talk to them, to ask them, where are you coming from? And to get the ants to be able to live with each other once again, because none of us are shaking it. It's time to open up our eyes to see things in a different way. When Sound of Freedom came out, they attacked it. There was an article that came out the other day, headlines everywhere. It said, funder of Sound of Freedom is a sex trafficker. You want to know the truth of what's going on there?
Yes.
Here's what's actually going on. There's a guy I've never heard of before. His name is Fabian something. I don't even know his last Monta or something. God knows where he's from. It really doesn't matter. What happened was this. Angel Studios, when they put this movie out, they knew that Hollywood would be against it, because it's exposing a lot of people in that industry, in that world. So what do you do when you know you're not going to have the backing and you're not going to have the money from Hollywood? You create your own crowdfunding campaign. And that's what they did. The crowdfunding campaign means that any single one of you in this room, before that movie came out, could have invested $50, $60, $70, and got a 20% return on your investment after the movie comes out. They raised the money to advertise. Fabian gave less than $100 on a crowdfunding campaign. So their headline is a partial truth. Funder of Sound of Freedom is a sex trafficker. Because whatever they found him for, I don't know, I really don't care. But look at how they make it sound and what's really happening. That's what I mean by the shaker. So we have a golden opportunity right now in this town. We have a golden opportunity right now on Long Island. We have a golden opportunity right now in this country, because we can spread this message through this experience. At the end of the day, just like I say, the Great Awakening, who's responsible for it? Before us is the people that we dislike the most. Because if Bill Gates didn't do what he did, and Fauci didn't do what he did, we wouldn't have had a reason to wake up that quick. So if you really want to get technical, they're the ones that you have to thank. And today when I was on a live and I was speaking about it, I said, you know what? You know what happened since they tried shutting down this event? You know what happened since they sent the police department, the fire department, and all these things? Business doubled. Instagram following tripled, still going. And a lot more people know about Rays of Light and now EE System and all centers around the world because of who? Because of them.
Yeah.
So there's a beauty in what's going on here too. Everybody's looking, how do we raise money for advertising? You don't need to do it. They're doing it for us. They're literally working without even understanding that they're doing light work by trying to take down the light. Because you can't take down the light. There is no light and dark. There's one truth out there. There's one God out there. There's no duality on that level. And everything will always bring us closer to that truth. Everything will always bring us closer to that silver lining if we choose to see it. And there's a silver lining in this event that's happening. There's a silver lining in this all around the world. The fact that Scott McKay, they call him an anti-Semite. They called this event an anti-Semitic event. Now, I'm an Israeli Jew that has a Torah under my name that I read from every single month religiously since I was 13 when I had my bar mitzvah. How do you call this an anti-Semitic event? Look at it. But now the shakers know that the ants aren't reading. They know that the ants see a word and it pisses them off, it triggers them. So, oh, he said this. No, he didn't. Everything was out of context. Everything, from beginning to end. Believe me, if there was somebody that hated Jews, he would not be sitting at my Shabbat dinner table. He would not have a kippah on his head. A yarmulke.
I'd never give that up. The food that I've eaten last night. There's two things. I tried to trade Manny one of my tomahawks for a yarmulke, and I said I'm going to change my last name to McKayberg, and I'm going to.
So to sum it all up, we have an incredible opportunity here. You guys showed up, you guys pulled through. We need to do this all around. It's starting here, it cannot end here. We need to take this to show everything through love, to speak to these people, and to show them you're not my enemy and I'm not your enemy. Let's see who the shaker is, and let's have an open conversation. Let's make this world a better place by bringing the ants together instead of allowing them to divide us and start killing each other. We cannot do that. We will fail if we do that. We have to stand up, we have to see where everybody's coming from, and most importantly, we got to thank them. Because they're the reason Rays of Light is doing so well right now, because they tried to boycott it. They tried to boycott this center, and as a result of it, this center is doing better than probably most operations in this town right now. And it's all because of one very simple phrase. What you resist persists. They don't understand that. They're coming to understand that. And we have to come together with these people in absolute love and unity. That's the only way we're going to win over here. We got to do a 180 on them, as Scott calls it, and say we're here to come together, and we're here to change the world, and we're going to do it through situations like this. So I really ask you all, when you leave here today, bring that with you. Not just in Port Washington, everywhere you go. When somebody's coming to resist, understand that they're the ant in that jar that was shaken. And you're not the one that shook it, and neither are they. They are not the enemy. The enemy wants you to think that they're the enemy. They are not the enemy. We have to come together. So with that being said, I want to welcome you. I love you. I appreciate you. Let's welcome Scott McKay.
I've said this many times, I'm going to say it again. The boy's 26, that pisses me off. 26 years old. So, yeah, I know, they're saying the same thing, my God. What an amazing time I've had in the last 5 days. Manny Shurka has been trying to get me to come here for a year, and I'm thinking, what is wrong with you? How could it have taken you so long to get this far? Am I carrying enough tonight? Do you hear my voice? Am I okay? Do I need this? Okay, I'll drop that. So I guess pull this out. I just want to I don't have my own tomahawk here tonight, so I'm going to pull out this one here. So the violence that I promote, of course, on my Tomahawk Patriot StreetFighter mission. Here's where it started. I'm Native American. You want to talk about oppression in this world? I grew up believing we were bad because cowboys and Indians are savages, and that's something that was in our realm all of my life, right? And growing up thinking, I'm really a savage. So, and we know what happened to the Native Americans in this country. They've been decimated. So when I started the Patriot StreetFighter mission, it was all about the kids. When I learned what I learned about these kids being trafficked in this grotesque machine, I've been at this political thing for 33 years. 33 years this year is when I started this, giving most of my life away to that for free on this political mission. Think I'm going to get to the U.S. Senate one day, and that's where I'm going to deliver my victory for humanity. Realized by 06 it's a corrupt machine. Half these people are criminals. I know from being inside that process. And so I walked away. That dream disappeared, and vanished. Patriot StreetFighter wasn't supposed to happen. But when it did, and this tomahawk symbolized this mission, this is a peace pipe. Yeah, I can take this stuff off, but this is a functional peace pipe. My philosophy was, now that we know what you people are doing in power, we know what you're doing and what you have done to humanity, here's your choice. I'm going to offer you the peace pipe. The peace pipe is what we do among our native people to settle the score in a peaceful way. Change what's happening here. Give up your corrupt ways. Walk away from power and the decimation of humanity, and we'll be okay with that. But if you choose to continue to do what you're doing to humanity and the kids, the only thing left is this blade of we the people. And that's what this says on here, we the people. That's what the tomahawk signifies. Now, I've seen the headlines. They call me the tomahawk-toting QAnon biker terrorizing school boards. I'm like, I'm reading this, I'm like, that's forking awesome. I love that headline. So, anyways, with all that being said, I'm just going to kind of run through how I got from the point where I was sitting on the sidelines most of my life to where we came to in this whole process. How many people heard the story of when I was pulled out of the grave? That can't hear?
That can't hear.
Check, check. How's that?
Oh.
Do I have some room? I get nervous about these cords. I usually have a wireless set. You see this Herman Munster boot right there? Well, that's why I'll explain that story. So, not too far from here, about an hour and a half from here, back in 2014, I was killed in a catastrophic motorcycle crash. I was living here at the time. I was married in Montville, New Jersey, and to shorten the story, I laid a Harley Davidson into the side of a van at 50 miles an hour. And so when that happened, I lay a bike down on its side. This thing was already happening. I knew I was dead. Your brain works very quickly. It's like, you're dead. And so my brain also said, well, get the bike on the ground to slow it down, at least to slow down impact. And so when I got it down, just when I got it down, the underside of the bike, right here, came in and it hit the van broadside. And I'm on it. And you can imagine what happens, like an IED went off. Everything was destroyed, including me. So I'm laying face down on this road, and I'm not breathing anymore. It's the only thing I didn't hit was my head. I was destroyed, all my internal organs. I had, I got enough metal in me today to build a bicycle. So as I'm not breathing anymore, and I'm conscious, and I'm kind of getting my awareness of what's happening here, and this weird stuff going on. I'm face down the road, and I realized, like, what's this tightness, like arching my back off the road, and I'm trying to get my bearings, and then I realized I'm not breathing. And then I went through this process, slow motion. You're not breathing. You probably severed your lungs with a downward impact. There was blood coming out of my mouth, all over the road. And I'm just thinking, okay, you're not breathing. You're going to die. And when that hit my brain, I remember looking at this fence line. And I said to myself, I was like, wow, I'm going to die right here, right now. And I said, okay, everything's going to be okay. And I laid my forehead down on the road. My brain's telling me, in about 45 seconds, you're going to pass out, and you're just going to fade away, and everything's going to be okay. And I had no fear whatsoever. It was the most peaceful thing that settled over me. Because back in 1999, I'm a born-again Christian. Since I was 14, I studied that book 300 days a year for 20 years. I threw God overboard in 99. I threw the Bible. I'm like, I am done with this bullshit. I'm done with the anvil of weight, the guilt, all the things that were put on me by this dogmatic machine. So my new Bible became quantum physics for the next 15 years. I was studying metaphysics, epistemology, philosophies, different religions, trying to figure out what doesn't make sense in what they're teaching me, and where's the blueprint to how this thing works. So a lot of my Christian friends, when I talk about that in these stages, they're like, oh my God, you're admitting that? Of course I'm admitting that. The reason is because we all have a pathway in life. We have no idea what it is. So over the course of this becoming my study for a long time, I have this happen to me. I wake up 11 days later, they butchered me. They put 2 6-inch screws into both sides of my pelvis, right into my spine to hold it on because it blew off on both sides. They had to traction this back together. Like, ladies, you know what it's like when you dilate for a baby? They said I was blown apart so far I could give birth to a 30-pound baby. Imagine that. You can relate to that. This leg was broken in 7 pieces. My left foot counter-rotated opposite an ankle sprain till it was nearly fully severed. My talus bone, which is your ankle, busted in half, flew out the back of my foot. Now it was captured in my boot, and then I had vertebral fractures, rib fractures. Every organ in my body was fighting for survival. 11 days later, they put all that metal in me. Here, in both sides. There's a plate that goes from my hip the whole way around it, down the side, but 1.5 inches wide. 12 screws hold that in to put that back together, and my ankle's reattached, my foot's reattached, my ankle's rebuilt. And I'm paralyzed on my left side. I wake up 11 days later to this horrific nightmare. You're trapped in this wrecked hall that you know you're never going to get out of. And then douse yourself in the fear and the pain that's beyond human comprehension. For 24 hours, I watched the second hand go around the clock. I don't think I slept once. I just wanted to die. So I go through this process. And about 3 weeks into this process, when I could finally have enough conscious thought, I started thinking about what's next. And in my mind, I had the person I was married to at the time started bringing up to me about the gravity of my injuries and what our future was going to be like. And I'm thinking, wow, I just climbed out of a grave. Perfect timing, like, hence the word ex-wife. So I remember in this feeble voice, because my voice box was damaged, and I was talking like this for about 6 months.
I talked like a schoolgirl. And I remember her bringing this up, and I looked over in that voice, I said, look, I know how bad this is. And I really didn't know at that point. The news kept getting worse and worse with the paralysis and the spinal cord damage, all this stuff. But I said, I'm not going to allow this to be a liability in my life. I'm going to turn this into an asset. I don't know how, but I'm going to turn it into an asset. Start getting to conversations about counseling and how I've got to rectify in my own mind psychologically how my life's going to be different, and I have to accept it. Well, you know what? I wasn't going to accept it. Said I'm going to walk again. I don't care what they say. I understand the power of the quantum physical realm of our Creator. The entire structure of everything that we're a part of, in, outside of, it's quantum physics, the quantum physical realm. Christ tried to explain this to us in that world. The most famous Jew of all time among Christians, right? So, by the way, Christ wasn't a Christian, just so you know that. There were no Christians back then. He wasn't even one. Somebody else brought that up 200 years later. Constantine said, hey, what a movement I can hijack and craft it for my own purposes, which he did. So, for the next 4.5, 5 years, I had an unbelievable existence. I was homeless, crippled, penniless 8 months after this crash. $500,000 in medical debt because somebody chose to cancel my health insurance out of spite. That's what I was left with. And so there's a man who took me in California. I was just about at this point 8 months later. A friend of mine got me from here to a townhouse. I went from chairlifts and wheelchairs and ramps, all these things for when you're paralyzed in a wheelchair and you have this going on. You have an entire infrastructure. Well, now I don't have that. There was a time I was forced to wheel my wheelchair to a chairlift to go 3 steps down into a garage, fold it up, push it down the steps, falls over. I have to ride myself down there. Now I'm built like a rickety picnic table. You know how they get loose when they get real old? That was my whole structure. I had to pick that wheelchair up, open it up, drag myself with one foot. This one was a boot that my foot's reattached. This good leg I had to use because these hands were destroyed. So I had to do that, get my butt up on top of a bumper. I had an electric, what do you call it, a trunk. So I get my butt up there, I had to bend over, had to fold this wheelchair up, turn this way in this condition, put it in my trunk, crutch my way to my car, go to my surgeon's appointments, follow up. Do the same thing to get inside, come back out, do the same thing to get in the car and go back home. I had an existence that was put on me for a while, for like 5 weeks like that. And I knew that one way or another, I'm gonna get out of this situation, whatever it takes, I'm getting out of here and I'm gonna fight to death to walk it. I'm going to use the power of this consciousness, the God consciousness, the Christ consciousness, the Moses consciousness, whatever it is. I'm going to rewire these neural networks with my conscious thought process, because that's how the universe works. And I'm going to walk again. And then I'm going to tell the world, this is how this works. Don't look at my story as my story. It's our story. It's a power all of us have. That's what they don't want us to discover. That's why they keep pushing us down with the bottle and the bottle, the battling, the shaking the bottle. They cannot have us discover our true power. It's beyond comprehension. It's immeasurable in our mind because we're not built for that. But I believe that. So here I am. I ended up getting on an airplane, flew to California, no money, air miles. I'm ready to do this. I need to get somewhere where the sunshine. It's in December now. I'm in a terrible situation. So a friend of mine who's in his 70s in a wheelchair, or in a motorized cart because he can't walk, he lost his ability. By the way, for those of you who are, kind of see this latest narrative on Scott McKay, my friend is in his probably almost 80 now. He's a self-proclaimed Ashkenazi Jew who has a rare disease that only Ashkenazi Jews have. So my anti-Semitism didn't really get in the way of that relationship. He saved my life. He's the most wonderful man on earth to me. So he gave me a place to live for 4.5 years because I refused a disability check. I could not have this in my head that I'm disabled. I could buy into that. So I was eating eggshells for the next couple of years because I had no money, no food. I had to find ways to earn my food. And I ate calcium. I ate eggshells for 2.5 years, because I needed calcium, whatever it took to survive. But I'm going to walk again, I'm going to work again, I'm going to ride again. And then I'm going to tell the world this is who we really are. So 4.5 years later, I'm walking again. I get in the solar industry, I'm working again, and I had just moved to Dallas because I had an opportunity there. And this was in July or May 5th of 2019. I get my dream Harley Davidson twisted cherry colored street fight special. 2.5 months into it, I'm like, I look up, God, I told you we'd do it. Because I came full circle, back around. One night laying in bed, when I was in Alan's house, I laid upside down in my bedroom, on my right shoulder, upside down, for what reason, I still have no idea why. I remember that night, when I was going to bed, I'm like demanding, I need to know. I need to know. You need to show me something. I need to know. So I'm sleeping, I feel this presence on my shoulder. And I stirred like you do when you're half there. And when it wasn't a touch, it was a presence. And when I knew this presence was here, I just started to wake up. And my first thought was, is this you? And as soon as I thought that, there was this like light wave that went through my entire body. I could feel my hair, my feet. It was like this. I can't describe it except this vibrational bliss that probably lasted 20 seconds. And I knew what was happening. It was a confirmation, and I was just like saying, don't wait. It's like when you're a guy, you have this pretty girl you're going to kiss in a dream, and you start to wake up, you're like, don't you dare wake up. Don't you dare. I got to get this in. And so that was my thought. Like, don't wake up, just be. And when this dissipated, I just went right back to sleep. I had to have a smile on my face. I woke up the next day. This is the first time in my entire life I've had inner peace. My love for humanity has been part of me since I was a little boy, and it just skyrocketed. And my whole world changed. I looked at homeless people on the street differently, and it tears me to pieces in Dallas. These people are black people all over the street. There's so much wealth in this world, this shouldn't happen to anybody on earth. And I'm the guy giving them money all the time and talking to them when they want money. Let's have a conversation. Because they're not there by choice. They were put there by this matrix they built in this world to do what they've done to humanity. And I understand that. But I'm on the bike, rolling down the road, and I'm like, I told you we'd do it. Coming downtown Dallas, 10:30 at night through a major intersection, a big Texas pickup truck blows the intersection high speed, takes me out all over again. I'm flying across 5 lanes airborne like Superman, and my bike's underneath me too. So I land. So I'm going toward this curb, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm not going to make it out of this one. Somehow I land, and I'm on my back, and I'm an incurable optimist. As soon as I'm on my back, I look over this bike. The RPMs are revved up, and I just happened to look around me, and I thought, and my mind's talking to me like, holy shit, you're in the only patch of grass in downtown Dallas. That's pretty freaking amazing. That was my thought process. I picked this leg up right here where the metal stops, a clean femur break like this. They give my ankle bone 30% chance of even surviving the last one, and if it didn't, put me on a chopping block. Well, right about here, it was down, shattered 90 degrees, and my foot was turned inward. I thought, I'm going to lose this one. So here I am back in a trauma center, and my friends that I was with earlier, they had seen some of them come back. They come into trauma center at 2 o'clock in the morning. They see this grotesque leg, and they're looking at me like, he's on a bike again. They're looking at me like, really? So anything I think of, I'm like, what do I say to this? I said, well, I guess an epic comeback wasn't good enough, guys. God wants a super epic comeback. Crazy. So anyways, I begged the surgeons to save my leg. They put these screens up. They see all this metal. As soon as they light that up, they're like, and I was like, oh my God, they're gonna take the leg. I was selling them. I said, give me one more chance. I promise, I guarantee I'll make it back again. So of course, now they opened me up and they drove nails up through the bones from here, clear to the bottom, had to rebuild my foot. So the next 2.5 years, I'm on crutches and knee scooters. I said the same thing. This is the power that we were given by our Creator. We can do all things. I truly bought into that. I believe it to this day. You know why I know we're going to win this battle and we are going to recapture the Garden of Eden and rebuild it? People ask me all the time, are we going to win this thing? You bet. How do you know? 1,000%. How do you know? I can't explain to you how I know. I'm just telling you as true as I'm standing here. This is now where we begin to rebuild the Garden of Eden. We're going to bring these systems down that they built to control us and destroy us. We are going to bring them down slowly, and we're going to keep building a whole new mindset of consciousness as we rebuild this entire planet. That's what's going to happen. And these are the possibilities you have to see. So, again, not that long ago, 2021, January, I said, again, I'm going to ride again. So I get my Harley Davidson, brand new, black on black. My buddies come over to see it. Same guys. And my one friend, John, as you can imagine, he was in the trauma center that night. He's just looking at me like I could see this volcano ready to open up and lava come out of his head. He was so pissed. He said, "Are you out of your effing mind?" He said, "You out of your effing mind?" I'm like, "Well, we've already established that. What do you think of the bike?" He says, "Haven't you learned the damn thing?" I said, "Yes, I have." He says, "What have you learned?" And I'm getting all ramped up. I said, "What I've learned is I'm impossible to kill. How do you like my bike?" He's like, "You're truly insane." So you're going to say, "What's wrong with you, Scott? Like, why?" Look, that bike, my church. It's not up here. That bike is my church. That's when I get on those wheels and I get in the wind. And that's when I'm the closest to God. I can feel things. I can smell them. I can see them. I'm out in the Texas countryside or around the country as we're on tour. My bus is out there on its own. My guys are, driving and I'm riding my bike. Because it's the only thing I can do to try to reach out and grab any part of creation, and I'm not in this rolling box. How do you explain that? I don't know. It's what I'm supposed to do. Are you afraid of being killed? Well, obviously I've been there once. It wasn't all that big of a deal, right? But when it comes to this battle right here, maybe that is exactly what I needed to get out of my own way. When I walked away from elected politics in 2006, after 16 years of devoting my life because I was going to be a U.S. Senator, I walked away because I saw the machine for what it was. And then I watched this continued decline of our society. Here's the thing, I'm going to tell you something, folks. Every problem we have in this country, in this world, it's not done by you, it's not done by me. I've said this on stages all over the country, some of the biggest church stages. Who are the two groups of people that have had the attention of the flock for the longest? Pastors and politicians, right? Somebody's got it wrong here. Otherwise, we wouldn't have 2.2 million kids in this country every year stolen from their families and pushed into this trafficking pipeline, paid for sex by these elites around the world. You hear me talk about the Khazarian Mafia, right? Here's the thing about the Khazarian Mafia. If you know their history, 1,400 years ago, Russia and the two surrounding countries were going to wipe them out because they were marauders, thieves, identity thieves. They were killers on the trade routes. They were Satanists. They were still sacrificing children. Here's what you're going to do. We're going to wipe you out unless you pick one of the three major religions: Judaism, Islam, Christianity. Raise your nation up that way. Okay, pick one. They picked Judaism. There's a reason. I can't remember now what it was. What did they do? The same thing they've always done. They tried to hide under the cover of a religion. And finally, the Russian king got it and said, okay, let's go. We're going to wipe them out. They escape all throughout Central Europe, and for the next 1,400 years, they're infiltrating every institution and agency of civilization. The central banks, the royal families, they breed their way in, kill their way in. This is all research done by Gordon Duff and others for a long time, right? So now, what we have here today is exactly that. And I hear, how do we get to where this thing happened this weekend, or this week, from this stuff coming through the pipeline, the oppositional pipeline? I don't blame these people. If that were true, I would behave the exact same way. Honestly, I forgive these people with what they were trying to orchestrate here. It's not their fault. They don't know any better. This is the matrix machine they built to program all of us to do what we do. It's not their fault. I don't hold them responsible. I feel bad for them. I was one of those dogmatic Republicans, dogmatic Christian. We're supposed to forgive everybody, but not that person. We're taught these things. My track was different than most of my friends' Christian tracks. I do not let them step on my track. My track took me down a brutal, grotesque road. But it turned out to be the best thing that ever happened to me, because it finally unleashed me. And I'll tell you what I do know about many of you. Many of you are sitting here tonight, and you know damn well you were built and you were designed for something far greater than what you're doing right now. You know it. It's in your soul. You wouldn't be sitting here if it was otherwise. It is going to be tough to make that leap, to understand what God put you here for. what your creator, the almighty source, Allah, Butch, Sally, I don't care what you call it. That's another division that they'll hit us with. I've dated Jewish women. I've dated Muslim women. I've dated an atheist woman once. I don't care what person's skin color. I never have. In fact, here's what I learned what anti-Semitism was, since we're on the subject. I moved to Los Angeles. I grew up in Central PA, Redneckville, USA. I'm in Los Angeles. I have a lot of clients in the wellness industry. Most of my clients are Jewish liberal Democrats. Most of them. Still my friends today, and we're always bantering politics. And I said to my one client, Bobby Kimmelman, she's one of beautiful human being, short lady, Jewish school teacher, charter school, politically aligned with me. And I remember one time she talked about Semites or anti-Semitism. I'm like, now I'm 36 years old. I'm like, what is anti-Semitism? She says, it's prejudice against Jewish people. I said, but you're white. She goes, well, it has nothing to do with it. She said, I said, but you're white. Because in my mind, where I grew up, you know, there's prejudice against black people. White people may not like black people. I could care less. But, and then she explained to him, like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Okay. I go home one weekend. My dad picks me up. And I said to my dad, I said, Pop, I'm glad I grew up in this small town here. He said, why? I said, I told him what I just told you. I said, I don't know, I guess because there weren't any Jewish people around us that, you know, I'd even be aware of it. He goes, what the hell are you talking about? Half the businesses in Phillipsburg are owned by Jewish people. I'm like, what? He goes, yeah. Sam whatever owns Sam's Furniture, he's Jewish. Chuck Nabasky, they manufacture your custom suits, they're Jewish. Simon Ziff that owns a clothing store, he goes through a bunch of, I'm like, holy cow, no shit. He's like, yeah, he said the synagogue's on 6th Street. I said, I thought that was a church. I didn't know, I didn't care. I didn't care. It's not relevant to me. So, you know, because they hit you with these things, it tells you two things. Number one, they're desperate because they're losing the narrative. The two greatest weapons they've ever had are the veil of secrecy and your money. They own the machines that we finance by buying all their goods and services and everything they do. They're not going to let go easily. Why did I start this war? Simply because of the satanic ritual abuse and trafficking of kids worldwide. You have no clue the gravity of this problem. It is grotesque. If you saw Sound of Freedom, how many saw Sound of Freedom? That was the ice cream version that people can absorb into their minds. But the reality is this. It's going to get much worse, but understand this. Whatever you have to do to make a transition and a leap to a consciousness that's going to help the problem, fighting it out is not going to do it. We're not going to win by battling and fighting. I know the Patriot StreetFighter image of the tomahawk. That's to shock and awe people into what, you know what I mean? To get them to start thinking. Look at what this did this weekend. It put a massive exposure on this technology and these wonderful people, Israeli Jewish people. That easily overcomes Rachel Maddow saying, everywhere I say Kazarian Mafia, pulling it out, putting in the word Jews. I don't use the word Jews. I never have. It always sounded offensive to me. You know why? As a little kid, my friends would say, you sold your bike yet? Did you Jew him down? You should have Jewed him down. I'm like, what does that mean? And they would tell me, I'm like, oh, okay. That's kind of offensive. I've always described my Jewish friends as Jewish. I never use that word. What's Rachel Maddow? Puts it in there. Alan Dershowitz attacks me over that. I'm a horrible Nazi and an anti-Semite. That man right there, he's one of my heroes today. This man, I was sitting on my tractor mowing my fields, and he called me about this whole thing. Scott, you need to address this. And I said, what? I mean, you know what I want to do. I want to beat the shit out of whoever comes like that. That's what I do, right? So I was advised by my book strategist to stand down. By the way, she's Jewish. Stand down, Scott. It's not the way to handle this. I'm talking to Mandy. He says, you need to address this. Here's what I said. Why would I care? This guy went to Epstein Island 12 times, allegedly. Yeah. You know what he said to me? Scott, just because he went to Epstein Island doesn't make Alan is a pedophile. And you know what I said? I'm still pretty pissed. I'm like, you know, you're right. He said, not everybody that went there is a pedophile. I'm like, yeah, you're right. I don't care what the truth is. I just want the truth. And he says, he believes you're a Nazi. He says, Scott, He may have had people, he had family members killed in the Holocaust. As soon as Manny said that, I was split right down the middle. My heart broke right there on the spot. I was like, oh my God. And I saw the vision. I saw Schindler's List 100 times. It tore me to pieces. I didn't even like German people, and that wasn't even a nice way to be. They didn't do anything. And it split my soul in two. And I literally was on the edge of tears. It was an amazing transcendental leap. It came from what he said to me. That night I went to bed. I couldn't sleep all night. I woke up 4 or 5 times with an off, thinking to myself, imagine if that was me, and I was a little boy, and people that I knew were being killed by this Hitler's murder machine. And I was so wrecked by that for like the next 48 hours. And I went on with Mike, Jaco, and Nino. Mike was pissed about what happened being pulled off the Reawaken tour. What did I say? Exactly what I'm telling you. I feel horrible. I sent Alan Dershowitz an email at his advice. Sent him an email, and I did. Like, if that's what you think of me, I'm sorry you do, but I just want you to know I'm heartbroken, because if I provoke that, it doesn't matter whether it's true or not. If he thinks it's true, then to him it's true. And I can't let this man believe something that's actually made him relive a terrible time possibly in his childhood. I can't do that, because I don't care what the truth is. I just want the truth. It doesn't matter whose soul is hurting. It doesn't matter who's been driven to their knees because of emotional pain, of memories that they don't ever want to hear. It has to be fixed. That's the only way we solve this problem. That's why I'm not pissed at these people trying to redirect some of you to leave here tonight, because, I'm here. That doesn't bother me, obviously. I mean, sometimes I do want to sharpen a tomahawk, and I got to remember why I'm here. Our objective is this leap in consciousness. We have the power to change this world. We truly have the power to change this world. If we have 1 billion people thinking every day, what am I going to do today to make somebody else smile? And that's been my whole life. I say the stupidest shit that people say, I can't believe you said that, because I want to see them laugh. I've been like that since I was a kid. Things I shouldn't say that are indecent, right? Because I want to watch them go, oh my God, I can't believe you said that, and they'll laugh. I like to see that joy of laughter. I like to see that energy, and I've always done that, because there's something magical about what it does to your surroundings and your universe. They've proved this. They've done this multiple times. You know about this. You have 1 million people around the world focus on love, light, and all at the same time around the world. What's it called?
Meditate.
They meditate. And they've proven on that day when these 1 million people do it, violent crime drops around the world by 80%. They're pushing that love and light consciousness into the universe, into the creation of all things. And it affects the enemy. Their cells go on defense. We're not violent. We don't have to be violent. All we have to be, you need to be the change in the world you want to see. I never step over a homeless person anywhere I go. I give them, if they need something, do you have any change? I give them a $20 bill. What? God gave me that money. The universe gave me that money. And so I need to use it for something good. I do it all the time, but I talk to them. I learn about them. I want to know about you. What put you here? And I give them the speech. Say, I know you may not understand this, but you living on a street like this is not your fault. It's not your fault. You were put here by design by a bunch of criminal bankers that designed this world of scarcity when God gave us a world of abundance. So no matter what anybody has ever made you think, I'm telling you, you don't belong here. There's something far better inside of you than you've ever been allowed to know. And I'm also telling you, you're not going to be on the street forever. There's things changing in the world. So just remember, you met this crazy guy that told you this, he gave you 20, but I'm telling you, your life is not going to be on the street, because there's something magical about you. And I know they're thinking, give me the money, who's this wacko? But you know what? I want to plant a seed in their soul to get them consciously thinking, maybe I am not a dirtbag that everybody else treated me like it when I was in school, and I'm not this loser. That's not what we are. That's not why we're here. And the fact that people can't just open doors for each other, or I do things to elicit a smile from people. I'm in Texas, of course, and a guy's loading up his cart, and I walk by, he's got these killer cowboy boots on. I'm just walking, I don't know this guy, I'm walking by, I said, Just want to tell you, my friend, those boots could get you tackled in that parking lot and stolen, you know that. So he's just laughing, we're talking for a minute. Outside I go, got all this lumber, and I'm getting ready to load up my pickup. This guy pulls up, stops his pickup, he and his son get out, and they load my lumber. I didn't touch any of it. That's what being kind to everybody does. That kindness that we push out into our universe, believe me, it carries across time and space. This is how we win this battle. I used to hear Jason talk about loving other people. I'm like, you out of your forking mind? You need a tomahawk. That's the only thing that solves his problem. And I'm always facetious when I say that. But these people out here, the Port Washington Democratic Club, they don't know this. They've been used as a narrative delivery machine to put this nonsense out there, just like I used to as a Republican working campaigns for a long time. Watching Fox News, having them program my mind with that bullshit. Democrats are evil, they're that. Let me tell you something. Since I walked away in 2006, I've been pounding the Republican Party relentlessly. Ayn Rand said it best in the greatest philosopher of the 20th century, objectivist philosopher. I've studied all of her work. And one time I saw where she was talking about this. She came here from Russia as an immigrant. She wanted to be a Hollywood screenwriter. And she became what she became. And she said, the true evil in this country are not the liberals, they're the conservatives. I'm thinking, are you out of your mind? She says, look, the liberals or Democrats, what you're gonna call them, the liberals, they'll tell you right to your face, if you vote for me, I'm gonna socialize the country. The conservatives say, if you give us power, we'll make sure it's never gonna happen. Look where we are today. Republican Revolution, 1994. George W. Bush, I worked 2 elections for. Precinct captain in Los Angeles. Imagine being a conservative Republican in Los Angeles working politics. Smart guy too, right? It's like being in Apache country as a Cherokee. They hate Cherokees. So anyways, so here I am with this mindset, thinking I'm really gonna make a change. They programmed me this way. That the idiot box on the wall, the idiot box on the wall is a weapon system against all of you. Why do you think they call them programs? You're sitting there like a drone tracking program. You're a hard drive when you're a little baby. That hard drive gets programmed with everything that they bring to you. The only problem with that hard drive, you can't blank it and start new software once it's there. You can try to drown it out. Talk about these Muslim countries where they're sending these kids out with AK-47s. You think that's their fault? They didn't have a chance. Black people in the ghettos, I listen to I'm native and white, but I listen to my white friends talk about black people, the ghettos, criminals, all that. I'm like, let's have a look at this. How about if we switch sides? How about all the white people go in ghettos for the last 80, 90 years? And all the black people have the opportunities that, white people generally have. So you're telling me as a white person living in that environment, one day you're going to say, well, I've been selling drugs and shooting people, but I want to be a stand-up citizen. I think I'm going to change things. It's not in their wiring system. Don't be ridiculous. Stop being an idiot. That's not how it works.
Has anybody seen the movie They Cloned Tyrone?
No.
Who's that?
It's a great movie. It is on Netflix, but it's a movie that shows you exactly how they program certain communities and races and individuals having to do with an underground tunnel system, which I want to get to and speak about, because part of what we wanted to dive into was TLS, the children underground tunnel systems. So we could really start anywhere, and I think it will take a lot of questions over here as well to make that more interactive on what questions you guys have. But quick question, who doesn't know about what TLS is here? Raise your hand if you don't know what TLS is. Okay, so most of the room does. The reason I bring that up is because Scott's really the main reason, or one of the biggest supporters in the beginning of helping me get a message out. That is how him and I really connected. And we started connecting and getting deeper into it, because he had a lot of intel and work that he was doing in terms of working with people in what people call a conspiracy theory, an underground tunnel system, which I think you should speak about, and I can add that in terms of TLS and the organization and all that, and we'll move into the children.
Yeah, I'll just throw this out there. If you go to YouTube and you pull up, just run Stephen Greer, Dr. Stephen Greer, G-R-E-E-R. Marcy and I were talking about that. I'm going to get that to you. Just run that and say shadow government. Up comes this 3-minute, 50-second talk he does in Newport Beach, 2000, maybe 17 or 18, 3 hours, 50 minutes. Watch it. Because you will learn about, he was a Mensa Society level ER doctor in North Carolina, Uncle's Northrop Grumman. So he then goes down a pathway to create the Disclosure Project to get whistleblowers from all government agencies and institutions, administrations to come forward and start telling the world about interaction with non-terrestrial life on this planet, the influence, the military alignment with a lot of things that are going on there. And he lured them out. And just watch it. What you'll learn, and one thing that stuck with me is my open door right there. He said nothing important for them is above ground. Nothing important to them is above ground. Under this country, there are superhighway systems. There are fully built, unoccupied cities under this country and around the world. I know I met a Vietnam vet who I come to know by designing a solar system. We talked, I wish my brother was alive when he was alive. He would tell me about these tunnels. Drive into Arkansas, massive roadway systems. They come out in Canada. He didn't believe it. It's going to be hard for a lot of people to believe, but that is the underground system where they hide everything that they're doing. We're talking rogue military factions, U.S. Air Force, clowns in America. There are rogue factions in the military. They're doing terrible things around the world, trafficking people. It's a surreal existence that we just have never been exposed to until now, but it's coming out. And my belief is when the world learns of the gravity and the grotesqueness of this child trafficking system, that to me is going to be the uniting force that brings the entire world together. All religions, all sexes, they divide us by race, sex, religion, political affiliation, preferences, every division they can come up with. We're going to unify when it comes to the kids because they're more closest to God than any being on the planet. And we find out what they did. Look out. There's going to be hell to pay. Believe me. Anybody here driving back to the city tonight? Anybody? This beautiful young lady back here with the Make America Great Again, we'd like to get her a ride back to the city so she doesn't have to do any subway. She's having a hard time walking. She's kind of like me.
I'll take her.
This lady right here? Yep. Make America Great
I'll take
Again.
a ride too.
Perfect. Anybody going back to the city? So I'm going to defer that to you now from that point.
The airline industry does $22 billion a year. Child sex trafficking every single year does $150 billion. Do the math, it's about 700% bigger. That's a fact. That's not a theory that somebody's coming up with. And that's based on what's so-called reported in terms of how many children are also trafficked. The formal number is 2 million. That's why Sound of Freedom had a campaign, 2 million for 2 million. We wanted to sell 2 million tickets. We ended up selling 15 million tickets. And it's been a month. That's crazy. That means that there are indicators, positive indicators of where we're at right now. That's why I'm a very big optimist in terms of where we're going. Because the world is in a very good place. Coming to a very good place. When you have any form of disease in your body, take a ailment, take a fever, tumor, virus, whatever it may be. We've been taught that those things are the greatest enemies in the world, and we have to get rid of them. The fever we have to lower. The tumor we have to get rid of. The virus we have to kill. What's really going on is those things are your first line of defense. Because the fever is the divine design of the body that heats itself up when there's a problem, there's intoxication from the environment coming in. We've been told that the fever is horrible. You would not be alive without it. The virus, we have them all along. Virus, bacteria, it's why we're alive. The question is, when they activate, what happens? Your body starts purging. So you'll go to the bathroom, you may have diarrhea, you may cough, you may sweat, whatever it may be. It's not trying to kill you, it's the reason why you're alive. And the tumor. What happens when there's something foreign in the body? The body's smart, it doesn't want it to spread. So it encapsulates that thing. And our medical system is so stupid that the first thing that they do is say, let's do a biopsy and cut it open. Well, what do you think happens when you cut open the very thing that formed to encapsulate the thing that's not supposed to spread? It spreads. It's a danger. So why do I bring that up? Because it just so happens to be that the times that seem to be the hardest in the world are actually the times that are the greatest for us. If you guys think child sex trafficking is something new, it's not. It's been going on for a very long time. If we think corruption and greed is something new, it's not. It's been going on for a very long time. The difference between now and 3 years ago and before that is we finally have a clear mirror to see ourselves, to see the reflection of what's been going on. We've been in a coma of awareness for a very, very long time. If we're in a coma of awareness, these things can keep happening. If we're in a coma of awareness, we will be taken advantage of. Pay attention to how when you talk about somebody, maybe not us in this room, but people say, yeah, the black guy, or the white guy, or the Spanish guy, or the Jew, or the Christian, or the Muslim.
Don't say that word around me, just make sure.
But pay attention to that for a second. And out of that came out something a whole lot different. Now, when people start speaking about Jews that run Hollywood, and Jews that this, and Jews that that, first of all, are there Jews that run big corporations? Yeah, there are also black people and Muslims and Christians that run those things too. So the program that has been instilled upon us is what's dividing us. And if we don't wake up to that, it's going to be a problem. Why, instead of saying the Jew or the Muslim, or the Christian or the Buddhist, or the black guy or the white guy, why not just say, you're either good or you're not good? Everybody's a human being. Everybody has that same blood that when you cut your skin will come out. It's the same exact thing. And somehow they've programmed us to divide ourselves based on religion, race, ethnicity. Why? Now, let's go to the underground tunnels for a second. That division consciousness has called for child sex trafficking to be politicized. How is anything having to do with, and I'm gonna just go for it, I'm not gonna sugarcoat anything. How is a child being raped at 6 months old, Democrat or Republican? Can you tell me? And for anybody that has a problem of saying, no, that's impossible, well, we know that gladiators were having sex with little boys. It was even somewhat accepted back then. So if Julius Caesar was a pedophile, which he was, if part of the pharaonic lineage, the pharaohs practiced that, if it happened back then with leaders, why can't it happen today? Let's not go that far. There were overground, very known S&M sex clubs in the 80s and 90s in New York City. You think they don't exist anymore? They exist. They're just underground. Underground literally and not literally. You need to be in special clubs to get into them because it's not that accepted anymore. Forget about children, I'm not talking about that. I'm trying to give a principle here to show you how history works. If it happened back then, let's not be fooled to think that it's not happening now. It's just happening in a different way. So this has nothing to do with Democrat or Republican. This has to do with you're either good or you're bad. Anybody know who Kathy O'Brien is? Kathy O'Brien, we have a movie of hers on Unified TV called Trends. And she made some crazy claims with no defamation case that ever came her way. Okay? She made cases, and I'm not going to name names because I'm not interested in doing that now. She does. Against ex-presidents, ex-vice presidents, and many other very big people in power that not only brought her into this ring as a victim as a child, and her daughter as a child, but things like sacrifices, rape, they never said she's lying. Because they understood that what you resist persists. They're a little more evolved than the people in our town here. So they know if we talk about it, there's going to be a problem. We're going to help. So let's just shut up. If it was false, there would be a defamation case. Because to defame somebody means to share something that isn't true about that person. They were afraid because they knew that she would bring things to light. And ever since, a lot of people started bringing things to light. MK Ultra, they used to call it a conspiracy theory. Now Wikipedia speaks about it. That's how open it is. Where the CIA said, yeah, from 1952 to 1972, we created a program and took advantage of certain people without their consent, sexually, giving them drugs, all these things to see how we can control their minds. And then they got caught. And then they said, okay, it stopped. You really think it stopped? Now it's just on your big screen. It's the same thing over and over and over again. So let's go to TLS for a second. To say that there's, and I was dealt with a lot of opposition when I first started speaking about this, as I was told that I would. TLS is an organization, I'm sure most of you know at this point, TLS is an organization just like, who can agree with the fact that there's negative forces in the world doing negative things? Raise your hand. So the exact opposite exists also. Okay, we just don't know about those. We know most about the negative and the evil instead of the good and what's actually doing something productive behind the scenes. For thousands of years, and I know that sounds like a long time, there has been an underground operation to do things that aren't so accepted overground. Just like we've seen things happening like the sex clubs in New York City in the 80s, that's now underground. Same idea, only different thing in terms of what they're pushing out. And what they do down there, let's go to the Holocaust, is exactly what Dr. Mengele did to children. So let's use humans and experiment on them. Because they didn't see them as humans at the time. They said, we don't care. Let's just experiment on them and see what we can do. That now happens underground. This isn't just about sex trafficking. This is about sex trafficking. This is about organ harvesting. This is about medical experiments on human beings. This is about cloning. This is beyond what most people can comprehend right now because it will shock you to the core. So there were some people that when Sound of Freedom came out, they said, it's not enough. They didn't actually show it. Do you know what has to happen to show what I'm talking to you guys about right now on a screen? That's hard, but it's happening. There are evil forces in the world, and there are good forces in the world. And by the way, the evil and the good, in my opinion, are not separate. Because every single one of those things play a role as well. It's generally the evil people that wake you up or piss you off to a certain point where you choose to do something about it. Because the goal of life is to come back into your own wholeness, to remember, to realize that wholeness, to come back into oneness, not duality. It doesn't need to be a world of good and bad. There's a book called Rays of Light. That's why this center is called Rays of Light. There's a rabbi in the book that always says the same line over and over again. He says in Hebrew, but I'll translate it. Everything comes from good, goes to good, and returns to good. We, through our free will, can choose to do something else with that. But if we start using our free will in a different way, we'll be able to see the light in the darkness. We'll be able to change the way the world works as it does right now. When I say underground tunnels, I'm talking about things here in Long Island. I'm talking about things in New York City. If you think during COVID in Central Park they had all those white tents for no reason, it wasn't for no reason. If you think that boat on the Hudson River that they never used as a COVID hospital was just there for fun, it wasn't. Now the question is, why don't we know about these things? Well, let me tell you a quick little story. I think I told you this one, of what happened, and I still don't understand why they asked me to share it. But in 2020, I was given a lot of briefings having to do with the underground tunnel system and certain operations that TLS, which is on that light side in terms of what they do, behind the scenes was undergoing an operation, having, in this case, to do with underground tunnels. And it wasn't just about children. It was freeing children along the way, but there are other things going down there as well that they went down there to do. And I'm going to give you a personal experience, but before that I want to share one thing so you guys understand the magnitude of what we're dealing with. It was September 21st, I think, of 2020, if I'm not mistaken, sometime around that date. I think I told you, Scott, before it actually came out. If we were talking at the time, I don't remember. But basically, long story short, they asked me to share about an operation before it actually happened. I'm looking at them like, what do you mean? Why do you want me to share about something before you do it? And I said, okay, listen, you guys want me to do it, I'll do it, no problem. I didn't see a danger in it for myself. Even if I did, I would have probably still done it, but there are certain things that I backed off of because it was too much. And I said, let's go for it. Let's share this. So they said to share certain dates and things that were going on. It had to do with New York to Portugal. Portugal, if I remember correctly, Portugal, South Africa, and Australia are some of the main hubs in this underground tunnel system that many ex-military personnel speak about. Formerly they call them DUMBs, deep underground military bases, but that's just a small version of what we're talking about. It's a whole lot bigger and deeper than that. And they said, share that we're going to do X, Y, and Z. What happened that day was, it was a tragic event that happened. And it goes into a personal experience that I had. And it was sometime in the 20s of September. I don't remember the exact date. There were 20 individuals from TLS, from the organization, that were going to board one of these trains underground out of Long Island. That's how personal this gets, okay? Out of Long Island. On their way down, there are certain things that happen in those tunnels. You can't have armed security guards everywhere, so you need to have certain technologies in certain places. Technologies that you can call them booby traps, things that would stop you from being able to go forward without having a physical person there. They use electromagnetic laser pulsation to do things like that, which basically vaporizes you like that if you come in contact with it. It's a very, very, very strong laser. So they wear certain boots, and even in some cases a suit that goes up to their neck. And that will protect them along the way, but the boots are a big one, I know. 20 of them go in. There was an ambush. 17 of them were killed. By the way, in 2020 and 2021, TLS went from 7,000 initiated agents, they lost almost 2,000 people. 2,000 people were killed because of the danger of what was going on. Ever since, they grew much bigger. They're at about 8,500 now. But in just this specific one, Ray was a part of this operation. 17 of them were killed. Him and 2 women made it out alive. And I had the privilege of being with him right after that. And what he went through was a form of radiation poisoning. Think about it like a bulletproof vest. You're going to get shot. It won't kill you, but it's going to hurt. When you get shot with an electromagnetic pulsation gun, it's going to radiate the hell out of you. And I even remember I had to hold certain points under his knees. Somebody else was there helping me. But hold certain points with certain techniques that they have to let go of that radiation out of the body. I'm sharing this with you and making it personal so you guys understand how real this is. This isn't something that I heard. This isn't something that somebody told me. I saw the position that this man was in. And it was painful. Now, thank God he made it out. Thank God they made it out. These things happen all the time. They're hiding gold. They're hiding silver. They're hiding diamonds. They're hiding bonds. This isn't about a religion that's doing it or a nation that's doing it. Because it's not just Judaism that certain people hide behind. If you follow David Icke's work, they call them the Sabbatean Empire. And the Sabbatean Empire is basically a nation of individuals who goes and infiltrates a place. The only way to infiltrate a place is to make believe you're one of them. It happens in Muslim countries. It happens in Jewish places. It happens in Christian countries like the United States of America. It's been infiltrated, not by Jews, Christians, or Muslims, by individuals with a certain state of mind, you can call it satanic if you want, that take on a certain religion to be able to fit in, and then hide behind that. And that's what people don't get around this world. That's what people don't understand. That's what the media isn't putting out there, because they own those media companies too. When it comes to children specifically, I don't look at it as children and adults. I look at it as human beings. I know everybody goes and says, we need to save the children. I do it as well, because it's a very sensitive portion of humanity. But this is about life. Whether you're 6 months old, 10 years old, or 25 years old, or 50 years old. That should not be happening to anybody. That should not be a part of the world that we live in. And yet it is. And to Scott's point, it is because there's a certain matrix that they've built, a way that physical reality works, which is a reflection of our consciousness, that created it in that way. But that's not to be mistaken of we are victims to it. That's to say, it may not be my fault that I came into the world as it is, but I definitely have the power to change it. Everybody has the power to change it. Everybody has the power to make a difference. I don't care how small or big you are, everybody has the power to make a difference. But the only way we're truly going to make that difference is when we let go of the words that they want us to use. Stop identifying people by their religion or race. Stop even identifying people by their age. You're either a human being that's alive or a human being that's not. You're a human being that's taken advantage of, or you're a human being that isn't. Sound of Freedom was not supposed to be a success according to Hollywood. And it was. It's actually number 3 in all movies in the US right now in box office. $160 million in the US alone. And now it's going to the rest of the world. Why? If they try to shut it down, if they try to get rid of it, what does that show us about where we're at? And what that shows us is very simple. We're in a very good place. It may not seem that way, but we're in the best place we've been in the history that I know of. Because we're finally waking up to what's going on. We're finally seeing. Why do you think there's 320 locations around the world on unified healing? In 12 months, McDonald's doesn't do that. Why? Not because there's big investors, because there aren't. It's because people stood up and said, let's do this, we're ready. Why were they ready? You know who we have to thank? Big Pharma. Because they messed up so royally. And there was so much corruption going on there, it caused we the people to say, we don't like what's going on here. We want something else. That's why there's 320 unified healing locations with energy enhancement system technology all around the world. And I'm going to finish with something that I always love bringing to the table here. If they can, and when I say they, I'm talking about the powers that be. If they can take what we call 5th generational technology, 5G towers, basically a form of radiation that is not natural to the human body whatsoever, and being that we're electrical beings will hurt you. It's shown to hurt you. The head of Microsoft in Canada, he came up and said that about millimeter waves. The head of Microsoft in Canada. And they got rid of him. So we should be listening to somebody like that that understands that technology. If they can take 5G and create an energetic envelope around the world that gives you things like cancer, then we can take things like the energy enhancement system technology and create a new energetic envelope around the world to fix the distorted frequencies that have been imposed upon us. If McDonald's can have 30,000 locations that poison you and kill you, then there's no reason why we can't have 30,000 locations that help you. And that's the world that we're moving into right now. The world is changing. And it's because we're finally facing everything that we've been in a coma of awareness for a very long time. We're finally looking in that mirror, and it's not comfortable. It's not comfortable. But it's a part of the process in order to wake up and make the change that this world needs to see. You want to add anything onto that? Yeah, we can go into questions if we don't.
Yeah, I want to add, how awesome is he? How awesome is he? I want to thank all of you for coming out tonight. I want to thank new Rabbi friend for coming out tonight. I've been practicing my Hebrew. I'm not very good at it. I just hear him talking around me, and I'll just throw out a saying that I picked up. They'll just laugh. God bless you, sir. Yeah, when Manny's talking, he'll say some word, and I'll throw it out. Just interrupt the conversation. He'll start laughing. I'll be, yeah, that's a good one. I don't know what it means, but I can articulate it. Yeah. Anyways, I stir the pot somehow wherever I go. It's kind of expected. Yeah, you know, the great thing about what Jason's talking about is my mission has been for a long time on the motivational stage is to somehow reach down inside of people, pull out of them what I see and show them. I don't care what you think you are. I did it in the wellness industry. It was great because I had like Hollywood people, high-level guys that were producers, directors. They owned the agencies and handled talent. It's really cool because they're just kids with longer legs. They like, could I really like get in shape? And I'm thinking, you make like $1 billion a minute. Like that's what you're worried about? And I just saw this naivete and this childlike nature. And I would see things about them, and I'd work with them, and I'd watch their confidence grow because they're like, hey, I'm changing into a body I never knew I could. And to me, that was such a reward because I was on the national competitive bodybuilding stage for 12 years, and it was just something that was part of my world. I didn't really think about it at a level how it really can affect people. The knowledge I had, and I was giving it away for free. But all through these times that I was with these people, they're always saying, you should be a motivational speaker. You should be, because I'm always like, bringing that realm of my mindset to them. And over the course of time, I just could see things in people, and it pained me because I'm like, why do you think that about yourself? Like it's kind of absurd and ridiculous because that's not what I see. And I try to find ways to get down in there and grab this and sort of show it to them. And every single human being has that. It's so sad to me that so many people doubt themselves. Look, I'm going to tell you something, folks. I never saw Patriot StreetFighter coming. I lacked confidence in many ways. And look, I've been in front of, I've been at business tables far above my pay grade for a long time before this stuff came on. I wonder how I got there. But I could never unleash myself. I could never unleash myself. And it wasn't until you have everything stripped away from you, you got nothing else to lose. And when I got pissed off, it's like Iacocca said it best, like nothing really happens until somebody gets excited and pissed off. I just find pissed off works a hell of a lot better than anything else. And when I didn't care anymore what people thought or anything about what anybody thought about what I was going to do, I just thought, I'm going to go to war, deliver my victory for humanity. I got to wake people up to this. And I just didn't care. And I was just, on a mission from God. When you realize that you have that in you, you look at this young man. I mean, how do you not be impressed with what he can do? And the simple fact is, all of us can do what he does. All of us have that in us. It's a greatness that we're all made from. It's that, and most people, how many people? Just to give you an idea, what's really happening here? How many people have lost friends and family in this war that we're in the middle of? How many literally have lost a friend or a family member? They don't talk anymore. So as I've been telling people for the last 2 years, the birth canal isn't the only pipeline into this reality. Look around you. Here are your friends and family. This is the family of light beings that are finding each other. We are now finding each other. You weren't meant to be where you are. Look, I've got a sister. I have a sister that sent me a text message because I'm taking on the school boards for allowing they want furries in the schools, right? Kids want to be a furry. I want to have my collar, I want to walk myself to class. Oh, I need a litter box in the bathroom. Seriously, it's sweeping the country, right? And I'm like, if you have one of those go on in the bathroom, just grab somebody by the back of the head, put their face in there and say, I identify as a dog trainer. I don't want you doing that here, right? But that kind of crazy stuff's going on. And I've been hammering these school boards around the country for letting this insanity come in. It happened to my school board when I went to high school, and I wasn't supposed to say anything. I'm like, really? They're gonna get 10 times worse. And I had a sister send me a horrific message. You are an effing coward. Started laying it out. I'm like, wow, how do you draw that conclusion?
Yeah, really.
You're the first one in 3 years that saw that. And, and what does that mean? I lost a sister. I'm never speaking to this person for the rest of my life. Anybody gets in front of me in this war, you're going to get run over. You're on the sidelines forever. This is about kids. This is about finally bringing the light beings together and doing what we were put here to do. God put us here. We have a front row seat, number one. Number two, you either made a contract with yourself or you came here or you were put here for one reason, to be part of this transcendence of the human species and the human soul. It's the greatest part of our time, evolution, and you're part of it. Everybody sitting here, you may not know your role yet, but large or small, just unleash yourself. You do you better than anybody. Just don't be Patriot StreetFighter, don't be this guy. Be who you were born to be, but unleash it. Let it bust out of you. You'll sit back and you'll be blown away when you stop thinking about what people think and you just go do you. Deliver your own victory for humanity.
We were born for such a
Before we move into questions, there's somebody that's here two people that are here that are very special, and I want you guys to hear from just a couple of minutes because of just incredible events that have happened recently that I think everybody should know about. When it comes to, he's not so much a child. We're 7 years apart. He's 19 years old. Dylan and his mom Marissa, if you guys can stand up and come over here, please. I'm gonna tell you guys a quick little story, and I want you guys to hear something directly from these people, because it's one thing when I tell you a story of what happened to somebody else. It's another thing when you hear it directly. So a few months ago, I got an email from Michelle Adams in Mount Kisco, New York. She has a Unified Healing Center there. And she said, I've been helping Dylan and his mom Marissa, and Dylan has autism. And she said, I've been helping him and he's been coming to the center. What can we do to let's do better. Let's help them more. And I said, you know what, let's hop on an interview. I want to interview with Dylan. Marissa was there as well. And we surprised them on behalf of Energy Enhancement System team and Unified Healing. We donated a cube to Dylan to say, he's saying his grades are getting better and his brain is changing in the way that it's working, and it's been an incredible experience for them. So we gave that cube, which I know you still have. And I saw it in pictures, which was awesome. But instead of me telling your story, maybe both of you can actually, share your experiences with what you've seen, because I know we didn't speak about this technology at all, given the situation of everything going on in the world with this topic. But please, if you can share your experiences.
Hi, I'm Marissa. My son Dylan. We were introduced to the system in December because I met some people. They're actually here, Selena, and she said, I really think that the system could help your son with his autism. And so we went to the center in Mount Kisco, New York, and we both looked at each other when we were in the system because we started feeling like tingly, and we didn't know really what was going on. It was really exciting, and you just felt really good being in there and relaxed. Like I was worried about falling asleep being in here tonight trying to listen, because I'm like, oh, I'm so relaxed. It feels so good. So we started going, and Dr. Michelle Adams is the owner there, and she was so generous to us and said, you know what, I want you to come back with him whenever you want. So Dylan and I went, and from December, it was like a 2-month period, his grades in school went up like 2 whole grade levels.
wow.
And he got accepted into his choice college. And from the generosity of everyone with Unified and EES and Jason bringing it to everyone. Money was raised. He had to go to their Summer Advantage program, and he went and he learned 4 months of curriculum, of coursework, within 4 weeks.
Wow.
He just, and he brought the EE system with him. I think Dylan's the first person ever to have it on a college campus in his dorm. And it was truly incredible. And he earned 8 credits. Today is a very, and I always say that, sometimes things don't happen the way that you want them to, and Dylan's really emotional. So am I. Today he was supposed to move back onto campus, but we didn't have the funds to have him continue at this university. But we're here. So I feel like spreading what happened to Dylan and how it helped him could help so many other people. And I said to him, it's just a delay. It's not the end. There might be other opportunities for him as well. And we might be able to get you back there. You know, he lost scholarships and stuff by not moving in today. But I'm really, thank you for inviting us into your home, because I feel like this is a home and family. I truly feel that way. And for anybody that is skeptical, this, for me, I was going for him. It was beneficial to me too. I lost weight. My doctors were like, what is going on with you? You didn't take medication, you didn't do this, what's going on? Your numbers are great, your labs are great. And the only thing that I was like, what did I do different? Oh, I took Dylan to Quantum Healing and Wellness. So it's just been a beautiful, beautiful experience. And everybody in the home, when Dylan was home with the system, was benefiting from it and feeling great. And we're just gonna see, you know, what happens. And how do you feel, Dylan?
Fantastic. Ears. I don't know if
He's a little nervous, guys, talking in front of everybody.
I don't know if it's my, I just want to working. Okay. Just to first off say thank you to the Michael family for making the beautiful system from start and actually having it in Quantum Healing Wellness. Jason for actually donating it, because in college nobody knew what it was. And I had to be nervous, explain to them that it was my nightlight at night. Ultimately, I did explain to them though, it was an EE system, a healing mechanism utilizing tool that awakens your soul inside and it helps you heal. You're naturally, as a human being, are capable of doing that through your brain. As you are mentioning that, I was stunned and very amazed of your work, and I just fell in love with this university. It grew me, but also 4 weeks struggling, because my brain is not the same as neurological typical people on campus.
Thank goodness.
And thank God for that, because I had to sit in my room, do all my homework, making sure that all the grades were perfectly set in motion, but the university did see something that was better than the grades. It was a change.
The universe did.
The universe
That's
did.
what it's doing.
And it appreciated work. And I personally, when I was on one of the one of the interviews with Jason, I did mention on video, and I think you guys would know online, that I did want to donate it to my high school and my college that we all know and love. It's High Point University. Go Panthers. Both of campuses have the Panthers. So it came to like the same family, just grew to a higher point. And that led to being us on TV, which helped us even deeper. And I was like, Mom, we are just looking at ourselves on TV already, and we're just there. And it just takes a lot of us to do the right things. I'm here existing as an 18-year-old, turning 19 October 3rd. I'm very happy you tell me that I'm 19. And it's thinking ahead, and it's a beautiful thing. Just long story short, I just am very happy, grateful, and thankful to even exist because of my abilities. I mean, I have been labeled my whole life saying that, oh, autistic things will happen negatively. Not the case for me, because I was told by doctors I was going to be institutionalized, not even have the capability to go to college. But here I am, getting the recent diploma that waltzed out. It doesn't take one person to appreciate. It takes billions, if not the entire world, if not everybody else who exists, to really appreciate you. And me shaking right now just is nerve-wracking to just, see that. But I've foreseen so many positive things. Look at Temple Grandin.
Yeah.
She is a beautiful handler of every single healing mechanism. She worked with cattle. She had an invention that helped people relax. And this moment that I saw was eye-opening to me. And EE system helped me reawaken my positive mind of a higher state than what you see me today. I mentally go through possibilities that are positive in my brain. And I don't say much because it ends up with people saying that I'm crazy. But I'm not, because I'm just here existing as much as everybody else here.
And Dylan was nonverbal when he was little, everyone. So
Yes,
I never know that.
nonverbal.
I'm going to ask all of you to do something to help us here. In honor of the situation, we got him through that first, summer course and all that. But we don't want it to just be a semester. I want to show the world, I know Dylan wants to show the world that no matter what label they give you, you can get through college and you can excel and you can be an example for everybody else in that situation. So on what day? August 18th, there's a movie coming out publicly called Empower. Empower is a little documentary that we filmed. A big part of it was because of Dylan. That we filmed on my first tour on the East Coast from Miami all the way up to New York. And basically more than half the movie is focused on Dylan and what we're doing leading up to Dylan. And there's a call to action in that movie, and it's to help raise money for Dylan so we can all come together and send Dylan to college and get him through it and have him be somebody that can be an example for every other person in that situation. So I ask you guys, watch the movie on August 18th. It's going to be on my YouTube channel. And please follow that call to action, spread the word so we can help Dylan and Marissa in the situation that they're in and get Dylan through school. Can we do that? I think that, what time is it?
There's plenty of time.
42.
Why don't we go into some questions with the time that we have left? Does anybody have anything that they want to bring up? Yes.
Can you disclose the location you're talking about on Long Island or no?
No, because I wasn't there myself.
Okay.
I met him right after in the situation that he was in. Yeah. We got a shy crew. Yes.
Scott? Excuse me, sir?
Yes, sir.
Thank you for your service, first of all.
Thank you for yours.
I've been through trying times just like you. I was hoping to come up and do it personally, but I think this is the atmosphere where everyone understands each other. Near-death experience, survived it. Haven't been on a bike though since.
Really?
I've been sitting in my shed, but just ain't running yet.
Wow.
Do you happen to have any extra tomahawks here?
Any tomahawks? I have one that's allotted, but you can always go on the website and get one, actually. But typically, I didn't know if Cinderella would be a good idea to be parking out there in the street today. Otherwise, we probably would have it for you.
Is Cinderella here?
No, Cinderella's
An undisclosed
location.
Does anybody have any questions? Yes.
So we hear about all the sex trafficking. We hear about all the children. We're aware of it now. What can we do to stop it?
I personally think the opening salvo was Sound of Freedom. I've been playing that trailer on my podcast. Occasionally, I'll keep doing it, getting it out there, let people see it. We need to keep that awareness going on because this thing is, in my opinion, only the beginning. Jim Caviezel was on my podcast about 2 weeks ago. He said the next script we have on deck, it might have to do with Haiti. He said it's far better than this one. So I think if we just keep promoting the work that this film is doing and the work that he has coming on the back end of this, in my opinion, from 6 months from now, it's going to be a completely different world. I believe personally, my belief is they're going to start ratcheting up the level of this. A lot of the things we saw in the movie were implied, so you could psychologically read into, have some capacity to imagine what really goes on. I believe they're going to start, my opinion, I believe they're going to start showing a more closer picture, getting closer to those boundaries of maybe you would call it indecency, or I would call it reality, because people are going to get to a position where we're going to be shocked to our core. That's going to happen without a doubt. That's what's going to unify the world. We're going to have to take this on in some way, shape, or form. But for me, personally, it is a constant projection of this subject. I mean, you've seen we've had with Patriot StreetFighter. Stand up over here really quickly. I want to show. Face the camera, get in front so they can see you. I saw this young lady. We don't see you inside the camera. Come over here. It was actually a delay. Yeah, you're good. It was a delay. So this is one of the things that we put together early in Patriot StreetFighter. This building block, Save the Kids. Does yours have on the back? It's got the tunnel system. The reason we were provocative with this is a trafficking tunnel system in the U.S. And we also have the Children Are Not for Sale and the 2.2 million kids per year trafficked. You have that too. So for the reason, I've never seen any big box store, any design house ever put these things out there in the world. But we did it from day one, and we did like $1 million in revenue in like 5 months. That's how ready people are to start driving this into public awareness. So go to patriotstreetfighter.com, grab your shirts. I will tell you this, I'm a full disclosure guy. I'm not really happy with the quality of the material I've seen with what I just ordered. And so I have somebody else on deck in Dallas to bring us a much higher quality of shirt. Use it if you want, but we're going to get it to a much higher quality. But any projection you have, I have a bunch in my bag, I think, and these are the Save the Kids. This is exactly the sticker I've got. I only have one of the Children Are for Sale. Go on there. If they're not on there, I'll get them there, but buy them. Stick them everywhere. When I run around the country and I fuel up somewhere with Cinderella or my motorcycle, I pull out a Patriot StreetFighter Tomahawk sticker and I stick it on whatever gas pump or whatever, kind of build an awareness. And it happens.
Have those stickers?
I do, but they were in my bag, I think, and they were just like something, it's not liquid in there, but whatever was in there chewed up some of the bag. They're fine, but I'm pretty sure they're on the website.
You have like car magnets and things like that?
Those are things somebody handled this part of Patriot StreetFighter really poorly twice. I never saw any money from it. I didn't care. That's not the issue with it. But they handled it so poorly. I'm finally bringing somebody in to do it right, to make it so it actually. It's been good stuff, but I don't have confidence that everything that's on that site, it should be on the sites up there. You can look and see.
Okay.
Anyways, that's just
You can buy the Children Are Not for Sale shirt on the Unified shop.
No, that's a different shirt.
different shirt. You can. God's children are so. Yeah, you can. These are the things anything like this you want to buy and wear this stuff, because believe me, I've talked to people around the country. And in fact, every speaker that's speaking around the country, they're constantly for 2 years sending me pictures. They're like, dude, your T-shirts are freaking everywhere, and the Patriot StreetFighter ones are, but these ones, they're all over the place. And these people tell me that they're provocative, and they get people to come up and ask questions about this. I wear them, especially after the movie, and I have people anywhere I go saying, "I love your shirt." I've worn them for a long time. Nobody's really come out and said anything, but since that movie came out, everywhere I go, I love that shirt. That's the consciousness we now have in motion. We just need to fuel it.
Scott, what did you get the map for?
Pardon me?
The map of the guy.
Whoever was designing this stuff for me.
You could get
an actual map.
Yes.
Yeah. It's a map. Yeah.
How did you get it?
I don't remember. The guy who was handling it for me got it.
mapped out by the military. certain individuals in the military,
yeah.
which are the deep underground military
So
bases.
this is a true map.
That's a map of DUMBs around the US, and there's a lot more than that.
Yeah.
If you were to try to fill everything on that map, it would be all lines.
Yeah. Yes, dear.
Thank you. Is TLS the one who's driving the timing and the subject matter of what to drop? Like, let's drop this topic, Sound of Freedom, the Children in the Tunnel, and whatever the project is that you're saying is coming up in advance? And can you speak more about the tents in the ship during COVID in New York
No.
City? Okay.
No, that I can't. But are they the ones that are driving? No, they're not behind the movie Sound of Freedom.
But like dropping, like let's bring this quicker to the forefront. Let's push this. Let's get.
I'll give you a twofold answer. There are some cases where they're directly behind certain things. There are other cases where they will use a situation and take advantage of it to make it better, but they didn't start it. So I'm going to speak vaguely, but Sound of Freedom had an interference in a positive way. I'm not allowed to say more than that. But it's not, there were certain things that occurred that were, and I'm just being careful with my language, that were they made sure the movie was seen by a lot more people that would have seen it, because there were a lot of people who wouldn't have known about it if it wasn't for certain trends going on social media, with certain things that were going on with movies, let's say, at movie theaters and so on and so forth. And that drove the virality of that movie a lot more. You understand? So no, they're not behind that movie specifically, but yes, I know that they interfered with a part of it in a productive way. So there are some cases where they do it directly, and it's theirs from the beginning. And there are other cases where they'll give a push and let it go. Take Unified Healing and the EE system. They gave a push in the beginning, and then they backed off. There were some situations where certain things arose that had to be taken care of, and they came back in. But it's more of a hands-off thing for them, and you know, it's the Unified Healing team, and now EE system that's helping with that whole thing, and even following certain instructions. There are certain countries we're not allowed to work in on behalf of orders given by the organization. You cannot work in certain countries. So they give guidance along the way to make sure that things are protected, let's say. Yes?
One of the things I find amazing is I followed Jim Caviezel since he did The Passion of the Christ.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember when he first came out with The Sound of Freedom back in Trump was running for president. It was like 2016. And he was practically crying, like how he's being blocked and how they're ostracizing him and how they're torturing him and they're not letting him release this movie. And every time you would see like these fake posts on Facebook and Instagram, like, oh, watch The Sound of Freedom for free over here and watch it for free. And then he would go on and be like, you know, we almost had it out and they won't release it. And
I'm very happy they didn't release it.
No.
Scott saw the movie 3 years ago.
It's great, but what I didn't know back then was that Disney owned it. Is that true?
No, Disney owns Fox. Fox had the rights to it. So technically Disney owned it because they own.
All right, so Disney was but the closer to the movie was Fox?
There was somebody in Fox that had rights to the movie.
Right, okay, but wasn't the company itself, it was a person?
No, the company had rights, but it was connected to an individual. I don't remember his name.
Oh, okay.
And that was a part of delaying the whole situation. But if you ask me, that was divine order.
No,
because if it came out in 2019, nobody would know about the movie.
Right, it would, but my question is, like, the phenomenal way that it got released. Like, how come this guy, or Fox, finally decided to let go, or was it a legal battle that he had to let go? Like, how did
you know? I had a conversation with Eduardo, the producer. I don't remember all the details.
Like, kind of miraculous to me because these people are trying to hide it, and he was. I mean, I followed him.
Yeah.
He was crying like all the time, like they're blocking me, they're not letting me do that, and then all of a sudden, like out of the blue, Angel Studios, and I'm thinking, oh my God, that's The Chosen. And Jesus, I mean, just so everybody knows, the guy who plays The Chosen, Jesus, he's from Massapequa. So and that's gone worldwide, and that's Angel videos, and this is all connected. I mean, it just blows me away.
Yeah.
Like, all of this is just, it just blows me away how the connection, but I just want to know, like, how that miraculously just got released. I'm thinking it was forced.
Divine intervention.
I always go to divine guidance.
Because
Things work.
It was such a struggle, and I just remember Jim making videos all the time, like how, you know, Hollywood's doing this and doing that, and his life is in.
Yeah.
What is the acronym TLS?
The light system. That's what it stands for. They're also behind the fact that unified healing exists and propelling the awareness of this technology, which, by the way, started with Scott.
Really?
Inadvertently. Scott was interviewing Ty and Charlene Bollinger on Unified TV, and he mentioned something
Did you
about...
see the remedy? Did you see their...
No, I have to watch it.
Oh.
I have to watch it. But he was interviewing Ty and Charlene Bollinger, and he was speaking about this technology and this doctor, Dr. Sandra Rose Michael. And basically, long story short, my family was watching at the time, and they're like, what's going on here? And then my aunt went to experience the technology herself. She had it's already a public story, so I'll say it, a 12.5 centimeter cystic fibroid in her uterus. 13.5 centimeter cystic fibroid in her uterus. And and it was a journey after that as well, but in 4 hours she was like a lot back to herself. And then she kept going, did a bunch of other things, changed her diet, part of the protocol for this technology. And today she's fine. She's right there. She's doing great. That's why she's also the owner of the center with my brother-in-law and my sister. So that, by the way, I didn't believe when that happened. I'm like, well, what is this? It's placebo. It was my sister's dog who kind of pushed me over the edge because he had a 4 centimeter, it was like a tumor in his neck. 4.5. 4.5 centimeter tumor in his neck. And in 3 nights, my aunt went to sleep with him in that does not sound right. My aunt took Shoko, the dog, to sleep in Verona, New Jersey at the time. And 3 nights later, it was gone. You know, and that you can't say placebo on. So that's what really got me on the journey. But it was Scott that started inadvertently. Then once I said, who's doing this whole thing? You know, who's behind it? And it was, no. Then Dr. Sandra Rose Michael, I got on a call with her, and that's when she mentioned something about TLS, and she's like, by the way, they approached me back in 2011. I was approached in 2018. So they approached me back in 2011. In the beginning, I didn't believe it either. I was very skeptical. And I said, what do you mean? If that's true, you shouldn't even be allowed to tell me that. Let's start with that. So I made a call to somebody in the organization. They were kind of laughing at me, and they're like, keep going. Yes, everything is true. Go for it. And I'm like, what? What are you talking about? How can... It was such a shock factor to me, because if they're involved, then whatever comes next is much bigger than what we can comprehend. And they basically pushed me at that point. And they're like, listen, go interview her. And I said, I'm trying to stay in Miami. I don't want to go and interview anybody else right now. And they kept pushing me, and they kept pushing me. And that's where I met Michael for the first time. Michael is the CEO of the Energy Enhancement System Technology. He's Sandra's son. He's been running and working there since he was 16. For the past 24 years, Michael Scaler. That's Michael Scaler right there. And basically, that's where I met Michael for the first time, or where I met Dr. Michael for the first time. That's Sandra's son.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and his name is not Michael. His name is not Michael. And that's what I thought. I'm like, Michael.
Well, I have a son with autism,
Okay.
so I am very, very interested.
Listen, I can tell you one thing. Number one, the technology does not heal you. And this is the paradigm shift. You heal you.
Yeah.
That's what we forgot. And when you give your body the proper resources and environment to do what it does best, it will do that thing quicker. By the way, Scott has a center in Texas. So all of these things and all of these people are starting to step up and say, we want to do this. Not just because of how the science works behind it, because that's a whole other conversation. I actually did a workshop on that like 2 events ago over here. But beyond that, it's something that you can't fake. And it's the stories that people have all around the world. science, studies, whatever you want. I can always fudge something over there based on who's funding it and what interest they have. You never really know based on the inputs and the variables. But what you can't make up is when a lot of autistic people are coming and saying the same thing. And a lot of parents are saying the same thing about 4 and 5-year-olds with autism around the world. They're not connected. This cannot be orchestrated. When 1,000 emails were sent to me about individuals who had strokes, that all give me the same story. Where, after 6 hours of being in whatever unit system, they were able to speak better, breathe better, walk better, and bring their hands above their shoulders. I didn't even know that bring your arms above your shoulders was a thing that you couldn't do when something like that happens, because I don't have any experience with stroke patients, which is a good thing, because then it doesn't give me the ability to have confirmation bias.
Do you know if Robert Kennedy Jr. did this? Because his speech is better.
I know that it's whatever he did is not this, because I just spoke to him recently, bringing this to his attention.
Because he should do this.
Yeah.
Because he
We shall see what the future
he
holds.
had success with whatever
Yeah.
he was doing. Seriously, I couldn't listen to him, but now
It's doing much better.
He's doing much
Yeah,
better.
and his voice is getting clearer. But yeah, we are in touch about the EE system in general. And again, Patriot StreetFighter, Unified, all these platforms are coming together to bring awareness to this technology. But it's not this idea of a technology that it exists outside of you, that's coming to save you. That's like I call it like the Jesus mentality, where it's the savior that's going to come and take all your responsibility away from you. If Jesus heard that right now, he'd be very upset. There was no, and I'm sorry if that offends anybody, I honestly, I don't mean to offend you, but that's the truth. No religious leader and no spiritual leader of that caliber, Moses, Muhammad, Jesus, Buddha, whatever it is, would have wanted us to say, you died for all of my sins and I have no responsibility. No, that,
I want to add to that too.
please, say that's not what's going on here.
Look, again, born again Christian. Here's what I've said on stages around the country. Look, I was told many years ago that they tacked this dude on a cross 2,000 years ago, so I'll be saved, right? And then at 14, I was told, you got to get saved and you got to become a born again Christian, accept Christ in your heart, or you're going to go to hell there. I'm like, oh shoot, I don't want that to happen. I'm going to do this. How do we do it? Good, we're done. And then now I'm told that, all these things are going, well, we just got to wait. Jesus is going to come and he's going to drop his feet down on a mountain. He's going to save us all. I'm like, now that's 3 times. How many times is he going to save us? I'm like, cut the bullshit. I just can't cut the bullshit. Christ said, these works you will do, and even greater than I. He said that. These works you will do, and even greater than I. What does that mean? In modern English, I'm translating, get off your ass and do something. Do it yourself. You've got all the power. He showed us what to do. He understood the quantum realm. Where he disappeared to for 12 years, or for 18 years from the age of 12. We know all that. And then to the age of 30, he disappears, comes back, changes the world, right? Where's the other 18 years? Well, they don't want you to know that. He was traveling throughout India, Tibet, and Iraq, and he was studying under Buddhists, shamans, and all these people of high consciousness. And he got a firm understanding of God's quantum realm, the reality. So what did he do? He tried to tell them, hey, stop listening to these criminals. Not in my language, that's Patriot StreetFighter language. But stop listening to them. Go inside. God is inside of you. And so again, I have pastors that have traveled with me on this tour for 2 years, and I love them to death. Some of these, they don't walk away from me, right? They could say, you're a heretic. But they understand that we've got to come to grips with the fact that you're the man and you're the woman you've been waiting for. You're the one you've been waiting for. And until we get to that conclusion, and we're never going to be empowered enough to change the planet. They're not going to do it. We've already seen that. The only people that can do it is us, and if you just look at one thing, the sheer magnitude of the numbers we have. I keep saying this, we outnumber them by the billions. This is a we, the people, great awakening. The founders were very brilliant. You got to understand, they had liberal educations. They saw what happened in the past, and they knew what they went up against. These people did parse words. The biggest letters, we, the people, not we the government, not we the religious order, not we the corporations, we the people. They're waiting for us. military, Trump, whoever's working TLS, they are waiting for us to discover our true God power.
It's just not happening.
By the way, if you guys are going to ask if Trump is part of TLS, the answer is no. I also don't like politics. I think it's a bunch of nonsense from beginning to end. I think we need a new party.
No party. No party.
Fine. But you need something that unites people instead of dividing, based on something. So, yeah, that's a whole other conversation. But anyways, I was saying the Messiah complex because I don't want people to look at this as something outside of them. Once you understand how this technology works, you'll understand the things that we're talking about with people and what they're experiencing. It's not a miracle. It's just how things are. It's like 1 + 1 = 2. It's not a miracle. It's how math works. This is how energy works. It's understanding the laws of energy. It's understanding the laws of, if you want to call it, the spirit world, the law of vibration, the law of conservation, the Fibonacci sequence, the Schumann resonance. And it's taking those things and reintroducing them to your body to give you a balanced environment so your body has the ability to heal itself. But it's your body that's doing the work, nothing outside of it. Emily, I promised you.
I was just wondering, back when you guys were talking about the kids and what else can be done, if you have any information on the aftercare programs and if there are any ways. I have a plan to one day have an aftercare sanctuary, but I would love to be more involved between now and that plan. And maybe other people also would be interested in donating, whatever, to just any information you have about the aftercare for the kids that don't go off planet.
I personally believe that the technology is going to be a part of that. If not this form of it, some form of it. I don't think that they came in and said, let's introduce EES to the masses very, very quickly, because it's been around for 27 years. It's not new. What's new is the awareness around it. So in terms of what will be a part of it, maybe it's going to be a part of it. I believe so, because it's not something it's not invasive. It's not something that goes into you. It's something that you could do simultaneously with a lot of people at the same time. So I don't know a standard answer to that. But if I were to guess, I think that it would be very wise to include a technology like this in something like that to help rebalance them. Do you have an answer to that, Scott?
I agree.
Beautiful. Just with timing, we'll do 2 more questions and we'll bring it to a close. Yes? Sure, I got you.
Thank you for your work, both of you. I woke up in 2010 to all of this. I had a Kundalini awakening, and I woke up to it shortly after I was exposed to children being trafficked. I was a dominatrix in the S&M world back in the day here in New York City. And I shut myself down because I was threatened. My life was threatened, my family was threatened. But that catapulted me to do my own work, to turn my pain into power. Now I'm a shamanic priestess, I'm a healer, and I help others awaken to their own potential and their power. So I want to say thank you so much for having the courage and giving yourself permission, both of you, to follow what God has intended for us. And I'm grateful to have said this out loud, because I haven't said this out loud to more than one person up until now. So.
I want to thank you, both of you, because I'm following you since you started talking about the pyramid code, first videos on YouTube, and I told Talia, it's amazing how we kind of connect spiritually. Most of my work is because of you and Lori Lara, that brought this. But this is not now. Your story brought my grandfather's knowledge, because he believed in a God that was not my grandmother's God, the one with the beard, she was a Mormon and needed to be a Mormon. But Grandpa was a scientist, and he said, no, these are the principles that you need to learn. So I literally took bottles of that, music and knowledge, and saw his work. And he said, I didn't fucking sign to keep these patients sick to make money.
Yeah.
I didn't. And we are talking about doctors in South America. And you brought me all that memories. When I did landmark, that came all to me like integrity? You're talking about integrity? What is your word that you're giving? I'm very, if I say that I'm going to be here, I'm going to be here, It's like 2 years ago, I got pneumonia. I went to the Palisades Hospital, and it just manifested in one day. They put me there, and I called my friend Yael, and I said, Yael, I have pneumonia, out of the blue. And they start giving me all this. And I want you to check, as a medical intuitive, if this is okay or not. And she says, are they giving you this? Yes, they are putting me the second injection. Stop it, without my consent. They tried to kill me. Because, I'm supposed to be dead now. But I'm so fucking powerful, I'm so fucking...
Thank you for sharing that.
And all because of,
It was when I was doing healing work with him. I also I'm many things, but as a cow practitioner working with Keith's the cow, and Keith was taking me through a healing session on him. And what I just want to kind of preface here is it was amazing because he told me send the bacteria love. What you're fighting, send it love.
Sounds like my Jaco, doesn't it?
Wish it connection
Send the
to
enemy love.
source. Wish it connection to the light. Within an hour, he called me and he had a complete turnaround. The trafficking, send them love. Wish them a connection to source.
And when you
Abraham Hicks says when you're connected to source, you can do no harm to another.
Absolutely.
And when you talk about
Profound, absolutely.
when you talk about sex trafficking of children, Grandpa was talking in the 60s and the 70s about that in South America. The whole family grew up with that. So when you introduce the Sound of Freedom movie, I told my cousin there and I said, listen, this movie is coming. When it's coming to Uruguay? And I said, I don't know, I need to connect with Jason and see when they're going to translate it or at least put subtitles. She sent me 2 days later an interview with Eduardo Verástegui with somebody in Spanish to me, and I was trying to send it to you, and then I said, Talia, I need to meet Jason. Because
Oh, she told me about you. Now I remember. She did.
Yeah. And when I came with the cacao ceremony here, I called Lee and I said, Lee, my leg is getting smaller and smaller. And the next day, I was meditating, and I don't remember the time, but my guide came, I don't know if it was Archangel Michael or Saint Germain or who, we were here walking around, and he said, I'm telling you this and this and this, and you need to do an overnight session. I keep telling me things, and you have to come and do an overnight session. And then in the morning, I woke up and I was doing my morning meditation. I said, and I need to call Lee to ask for an overnight session. And then I called him and I said, this happens. And he's just like, yes, we need to do it. And then I said, I am in. And then, who was it? Vincent told me, yes, I'm in too. Huh? Yeah.
We love you. Thank you. Yes, but before, just one thing. I just want to say thank you to somebody here that we acknowledged, but it's Michael. Michael, can you come here for a second?
Yeah.
Please. He's in a jumpsuit at the moment for reasons that we're not going to disclose.
I'm going to go fly a spaceship.
But again, Michael is the CEO of ES, and I just want you guys to understand who's behind this whole thing, because that's really important, because Michael surprised me in many ways. I don't work with a lot of people. I actually work with very, very few people, and Michael's the only person that, although we're not partners, legally in any way, he's like a partner to me in the way that we work together. And I just want to share a quick story to show you the character of who this person is, because I don't know many people like him. I called him at the end of May, and I said, Michael, I had a conversation with some of the producers at Sound of Freedom. They need some help with funding and whatnot. In 60 seconds, literally, it was a phone call that was less than 60 seconds. I told him, I said, listen, it's a large amount of money. They're going to need some help. I can't do this myself. Are you in? He didn't ask a question. He just said, if it's about the children in that way, and so long as you're bringing it to the table, just give me a bank account and tell me where I need to send the money. He did not ask a question. And in 60 seconds, that whole thing finished. The reason why I share that is because I want you guys to understand who's behind this thing. What consciousness the individuals have behind this thing. I want you guys to know how those funds are being used. And how it's not going to say, oh, okay, this guy is going to do whatever he wants. It's not every day where somebody runs into the success that Michael ran into overnight, because it was overnight. It was actually in about 1 hour. Forget about overnight. And somehow he still stays grounded till this day to be able to do that. And I was afraid of something like that being the opposite. And you've been a very, very big blessing in my life. So I want to say thank you very much.
Before I said yes, said there's a huge chance that you'll get no ROI on this movie. And
I said you're probably going to lose.
Yeah.
He said, don't worry, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's make it happen. Thank you. And Lee, you come as well.
So I also wanted to say one thing about Dr. Sandra Rose Michael, his mother. Most of you know who she is. She's been on my bus for 2 years traveling with me. And I've had this hidden gem. I really didn't get into the depths of the technology with her because we were on the tour and there was a lot going on. But so here's this, I call her, from the Shire, this beautiful little blonde-haired woman traveling. And what a pleasant surprise to, over time, learn more and more deeply about what her technology can do. And now, of course, having, engaged in that as well. So very special human being in more ways than just the technology. If you get to know her, have the chance to, when you learn who this being is and what her true value is, she's one of the most remarkable people I've ever known in my life. The second one is I want to introduce you to my bodyguard, the enforcer, my driver. This was a huge surprise to me. I said, look, when we get there tonight in this beautiful big Maybach, I said, all I'm asking for is I want to be in the back seat. I want my door to open, and I want Manny Shurka to open my door for me and brush my shoulder off when I get out. But I can tell you this, I've had a privilege to meet a lot of people in the world, business and otherwise, and I've just had this magnificent experience, this 5 days with this beautiful family. And aside from all the other nonsense that we're hearing about me and Patriot StreetFighter, what I am or what I may not be, to have this Israeli man stand at my side and say to the world, I don't care what bullshit they're saying about you. I'm Jewish, I'm Israeli, and I know who you are. That's all nonsense. And that I'm going to choose you, Scott, and what you're doing for the world over people that do not know and are going to take a position against who you really are. And if it means a friendship's got to go, it's got to go. I've been educated by this man in a way. This is a principled human being. I very rarely in my life see principled people that are standing on bedrock when the rubber meets the road, that do not flinch or back up 1 inch. And I saw one example from this man this weekend. I was like, holy Mary, Mother of God. This is a pillar and a rock of principle. Like, there's no bullshit here with this guy. Like, he's like, me, cut the bullshit. That makes no sense. I don't care what your thinking is or talking about all this nonsense. That makes no sense. And he doesn't back up. And I saw this week. And so I have a man here that I love, and I'm honored to be able to call you my friend. And it's just, I'm overwhelmed by watching you conduct yourself through all of this. And the fact that I can, have this incredible man here, carrying himself like he does, looking like he does, and I'm like, I'm a badass. I'm Manny Shurka's brother now,
I'm not much of a speaker, but I feel I have to make a statement here today. We don't know each other for many years, but I learned to know you. You more than just a brother. I learned a lot from you. I appreciate the support you're giving my son and to the movement. I want you to know this guy, when he comes to a place like this, like today, he's not getting paid. Nobody's paying him, he's not asking for money, not even travel expenses. He came all the way from Texas to be here. Okay, this was planned 2 months ago when I met him in Dallas. The man does work that nobody, I can't even explain how he helps people, what he does for the community, for the world. And we getting garbage like Scott the anti-Semite, Scott the Nazi. This week, I became an anti-Semite. My son is the new Nazi. No, it's like unbelievable. And so my son told them, look, you can call me what you want, just explain to me how Israeli Jewish family here in Long Island are anti-Semites. Nobody gave us an answer. So, my dear friend, Scott McKay, the anti-Semite, it's my honor to be your friend. It's my privilege to know you, and please continue the work. And I'm asking you people here, please support this man. He does a holy work, this guy. He does an amazing work, and nobody appreciates it. He doesn't make a penny from those things. Everything is out of his pocket. Even his bus that he's touring, there's no donation. Everything is from his pocket. So please, we need your support. I need your support to support people like my son, people like the centers. Jason, my son. Last time I gave a speech was at his bar mitzvah. It was 30 years ago. So I apologize for the accent. I hope you get it.
Tell me how you introduced me.
Scotty the Nazi.
Scotty the Nazi. I told him that today. I sat down and introduced myself. I said, hi, I'm Scotty the Nazi. He introduces everybody. And there we go. This is Scotty the Nazi.
So you, Jason, very proud of you. I'm proud to call you my son. Keep doing what you're doing. I didn't finish it. It's my turn. You talk too much. In 1 year, you are responsible for over 300 centers. Starbucks doesn't do 300 centers in 1 year. Going back a few years, when you started this, you used to work for me, you used to work with me in the real estate business, and you came to me one day and you said, he promised me, by the way, that by now I'll be retired and all that. It's full of shit. So he came to me one day a few years ago. I found my calling. I apologize. I know I promised you something because I plan to retire with my wife, not travel the world, but it's not really happening. And he decided to do this. I was very scared from the TLS, what he wants to do. I was very scared from everything around him. And I did my best to stop him. But he came to me and said, please, I need your support. So I said, I gave him my opinion, and I told him what I think. I was worried about him. I was worried about the danger, because what he does, there's a lot of danger in it. Okay, and he's a rookie, he just started. See this man? He's walking around with 2 bodyguards, and God knows what else that I cannot say in public, okay? They tried to kill him twice. He didn't tell you that. Twice. The son of a bitch doesn't want to die. Twice they tried to kill him. They murdered his father. okay? That's the reason I told my son, don't do that, because I knew people like who came this weekend, okay? And a very small amount of people, but they make a lot of noises. And suddenly we are Nazis, anti-Semites, Jewish family. This Nazi is sitting on my Shabbat table. The Shabbat sitting and we're doing the blessings and we're eating together and everything else. What kind of a Jew will bring an anti-Semite to his table? I don't get it, but whatever it is. I suggest to everybody that's watching this, if anybody, you're entitled to your opinion, but first, meet the man, watch the man, see his work, and after you talk to him, if you still feel he is a Nazi, anti-Semite, I will respect you for that. But at least you talk to me first. You don't go on CNN and you hear the bullshit over there, and now, oh, he's a Nazi because somebody at CNN decided so. And this is what they're doing. So please, I need you to support Scott, Jason, my son-in-law, Lee. Great work. My daughter, Ashley, very proud of you. You're doing the work. Tali, my sister-in-law. You need to support people like that. You need to spread the word and bring awareness to the world. This kid decided to become executive producer of a movie that he was sure he was losing money. He did it anyway. And everything came out of his pocket. So whatever happened, happened. Suddenly they don't like him. You know, I heard from someone, I think Sean Hannity said it. I really want to understand what kind of a human being will be against a movie like that, and for what reason, unless he's really a pedophile. There's no other reason. There's no pornography in this movie. It's a true story. You can't deny it. So again, thank you for everything. I thank you all. And I'm proud and I'm happy and I'm glad that you're here.
That's what they can't be. You see that kind of love in a family? They can't see. That's why we've already won. They don't understand it because it's not in their soul. And I'm not talking about the people that try to disrupt this. They don't know any better. They're programmed like we have been. They're programmed like I once was. I mean, I listen to Christians say, you know, homosexuals should be killed. This is nonsense. You know, we're all God's creation. We all come from the same place, and we're all born from love and light. That's all we need to do is return to love and light. But this is the weaponry that we have to fight this war with. And all the people that had attacked his family. And if you heard the whole backstory, I felt somewhat responsible. Today I'm listening to all this. Pardon me? What did he say? He jumped the gun on me again. I'm thinking, I came into town and it's like that picture of Trump, he's walking away, there's flames, nothing but flames in the background. Like, oh my God, this is what I did here. But again, all things work together for good. All things work together. Somebody said once Hillary Clinton was truly necessary in the grotesqueness of her life and what she has done to even children. Like, are you out of your mind? And it was explained to me in the law of one fashion. These things are necessary to help us ascend. But this tonight, in my opinion, was just the best thing. What you saw from the family and the father and son. I knew the story. I knew the story behind Jason's entry into this. And I get to say this, but I said, so what did he say? And Jason said, Manny said, well, I hope you know what the fuck you're doing. Well, obviously he does. Lit the world on fire. I am so grateful for all of you tonight coming here and standing with all of us amid the chaos. I'm eternally grateful to this amazing man. I'm glad I discovered him through my tour manager, Mike Zildjian, brought him out on tour, got to know him. And I'm so grateful that I was invited into your house this weekend, and all these people, the one that never stops smiling, Talia, never stops smiling. I'm grateful. I'm really grateful that you folks weren't deterred and you came out tonight anyway. So we'll hang around a little bit, and much love to all of you. But I think we've kind of burnt a candle here tonight. Love all of you.
Thank you guys very, very much for being here and for all of your support in whatever way. I didn't think I was going to cry tonight. No, it was a touching story because I had to it's for another time. But I had to really succeed in this. There was no option failed, because I made them change their lives. You know, I know you're not retiring and know you're not doing X and Y. So if I failed, it would be like a double. But it's not enough. And he's scary. He'll kill you. so thank God, you know, and everything that happened up until now over the past 3 years, like, sure, you know, with Unified, I'm the face and all that, but it's everybody's support that made that happen. Right? I didn't get, there were some people that said, oh, your father gave you $1 million to start. No, none of that ever happened. This started with people supporting it. I didn't even have $1 out of my pocket that I put into it. It was people that came together out of the philosophy of understanding that if we want to see a change in the world, it's not one person, one billionaire, one person with a lot of power that's going to do it. We're going to need to have a collective shift in the world. If we want to see a collective shift in the world, we're going to have to see a collective consciousness shift if we want to see the reflection of it shift, which is our reality. And I'm just grateful to be a part of it. So thank you guys very much for your love and your support. I'm going to bring in my brother-in-law real quick just to give some closing statements about the center. If you guys can support it, this center, any center around you, it's center owners. Stand up for a second. Oh no, you don't have it. Conchetta, Emily, let's go. Stand up. Oh, I'm like, where is you? Anybody else in here that owns a center somewhere? Scott, obviously. These are the people that are standing up and making that change, and you guys are the people that are supporting that change by going to these centers. So if you're in Smithtown, New York, go check it out. If you're in Connecticut, go check it out. If you're here, come here, but still go check those out. Go support everybody that you can possibly support when it comes to this, because it's coming together that makes that shift. That's why we're literally an army around the world right now. Only our weapon, it's light, it's love. That's why they can't stop this. So I'm going to pass this over to Lee again. Thank you guys very much for your love and your support. Thank you.
Okay, wow. So this was really, really great. Great turnout. We had to put up a fight to actually have a private presentation in our own business. It's just so hard to believe. Scott, I can't even thank you enough. First, to meet you, to become part of our family in such a short period of time, and for you so willingly to just say, I'll come and support you. You guys came to us just on the word of meeting someone, and I wasn't even there. Jason, Talia, Marcy, Manny, they all went and met him, and they told us, Lee, we met him. We met him. We see the kind of guy he is. He will stand up for what's right, just like what we will do. And together, we're just going to have to keep finding more people to do this, because like Jason said, it's the collective consciousness and unity that will make the changes that we're looking for. So that I want to wrap that up. So thank you. Thank you. And Jason, of course, thank you for not only inspiring me, but inspiring the whole family, inspiring, I believe, everybody to see that, you know, the good will prevail. Don't kind of sit in the sidelines and wait for somebody else to do it. It's something that was kind of my thing. I was more of a peace, middle person. And I've really seen in the short period of time, the last 2-3 years, that you got to stand up for what's right. It will pay off. The right people will come along, and together, you know, you'll make a lot of good in the world. So in conclusion with everything, we did this EE System Center here, Rays of Light, because we've seen the type of changes and miracles, really, lack of a better word, miracles, that it does for people in a short period of time, and gives them that hope and belief also to just take control of their life and their wellness. And in addition to that, we're just here to stand as a wellness and life hub of just doing the right things, standing up for the right causes, bringing the right like-minded people together, and only good could come out of it that way. So we're going to continue doing that.
Can you just talk about the light system for 2 minutes, like the technology of it?
I got you.
Hello.
When you have electrically charged cells, intracellularly, you have an electrical charge. When you have a higher electrical charge that we can measure in millivoltage, your cells regenerate. Specifically, from 70 to 90 millivolts, your cells will regenerate and rebuild themselves. You also happen to synchronize with the environment that you're in. So in short, if you put yourself in a healthy environment, in a balanced environment, in a charged environment, your cells will charge themselves. And if you put yourself in the opposite, you're going to experience the opposite. So in short, without going into the science and all that, you can look at the energy enhancement system as just like you charge your phone by plugging it into a charger, you're plugging yourself back into your own charger that will raise the millivoltage of your cells to help them regenerate. And that's why it's you doing it. You're the one that's synchronizing with the environment. You're the one that's changing the cellular charge within your cells, millivoltage-wise. You're the one that's regenerating itself. It's just the environment that this creates in order to help rebalance that so your body can do what it does best, which is heal itself.
What's unnatural millivoltage?
Technically, 70 to 90, where that's brought up, 70 to 90 is optimal for regeneration. Anywhere below 20, you're going to have a problem.
That's where cancer comes in.
Yeah. If you're below 20, you are not in good shape whatsoever. So cellular millivoltage can be impacted by oxygen levels. It can be impacted by,
How would I measure my millivoltage? Is there like a...
There are certain units, but your millivoltage is also the reflection of your millivoltage can also be seen in your pH of your body, and can also be seen in your oxygen levels of your body. So those are easier ways to measure the reflection of let's put it this way, if you have an acidic environment in your body, you're going to have a messed up millivoltage in your cells.
But there's no...
There is, I just don't remember the name.
Oh.
Yeah.
Let me just add on to that. Dr. Otto Warburg in 1938, when 2 Nobel Prizes, this is when it meant something, it was up for a third, he proved that cancer and other diseases are anaerobic. They only live in low to no oxygen. Part of the healing, besides your will to do the right thing, and in your body needs oxygen. When you eat sweets, when you eat junk food,
sugar feeds.
Okay, it's not that just the sugar feeds. It's junk food that puts your pH levels in an acid environment. Okay, it's prime territory for anaerobic microorganisms to take over. You alkalize your body, clean your diet. Okay, many people many times overcome incurable diseases. It works. This
by shifting your environment instead of paying attention to the disease.
Correct.
Hyperbaric.
Just sitting here for a short period of time. I've never been here before. I've had a little ringing in my ear. I don't feel that anymore.
Wow.
No, I don't know if I go home. When I leave, it's but
come back.
I know. And there's something that you said too that kind of clicked something in my head that I didn't understand. The Carcerarian Mafia, they call themselves Jews.
They're not.
Christ said, and it opened up the scripture to me. Remember Christ saying, they call themselves Jews because they're from the synagogue of Satan.
Oh, I didn't know that.
That's Revelation 3:9, I believe. I'm paraphrasing, but Christ warned us about these people accepting the Jewish, and this is why the Jewish people, a lot of times, are not liked. They hated because of what they've done.
Every single one of our holidays is based off of the fact somebody tried to kill us and they failed.
Correct.
Everyone. I think with the exception of one, every holiday they tried killing us, we made it. And now we have a holiday. Really. In closing, I know you have whatever you want to present to show everybody. Let's close it out.
Yeah. So again, I want to just thank you all for coming. For newcomers here in the system, I do want to mention that what works hand in hand is doing a salt detox bath. Very important. You've all now been in here for about 2 to 3 hours. What the system does when you're in this environment, it's basically pushing toxins and any kind of bad frequency, radiation, fluoride, formaldehyde, whatever is bad stuff that you're getting out in the world, it's pushing it out to the surface of your body, but it needs to be pulled out. So that's where the salt blend that we have, it's, you know, Celtic sea salt, boron, and baking soda combination. You take a bath in that, and it actually pulls it out of your body, and you'll actually see it. So it kind of goes hand in hand, so I just want to mention that because we haven't.
How soon do you have to do that?
Tonight would be ideal, within 24 hours. If you don't have a bath at home, you could do a foot soak and just, you know, get a little bowl on the floor and put your feet in it. The feet are one of the main points where, you know, toxins leave the body. And yeah, and just, that was just the thing about the salt. Here it is. This is good for two sessions in an actual bathtub, or 3 of the foot soak, because you'll need less in a little bowl. So that's what I wanted to say about this. Just important that you all know, because it's not spoken about enough.
Can you use Epsom salt?
No.
Or you have to use the Celtic salt?
Yeah,
So
that'll hold.
yeah, Epsom salt pulls into your body. Yeah, which is used for other things, but not in this environment. So this is a mixture of.
This you can make yourself if you choose. It's
More than welcome to. We just save all the legwork. It's only $12. It's 20% off today also, so about $9 and something. Go ahead.
Celtic sea salt, baking soda, boron, lavender, essential oil, and
We just saved all the work of putting it together.
And the baking soda and the boron are very important as a combination.
I just want to say that the detox that they were recommending for anyone who had vaccinations was the borax, the baking soda, Epsom salt.
Wow.
Dr. Sandra Rosemont will
That
tell
was
you
the
that.
frontline doctors that were.
They didn't know any better. They don't know.
No, Scott, can I help?
Yes.
Epsom salt is fine, but not when you're using this machine.
Is that right?
Epsom salt can help your pain, can do a lot of good things, but magnesium content in, it pushes things inside. And if you do this machine, and you will put Epsom salt, you're not going to be happy.
I mean, I know the Epsom salt is magnesium.
Exactly, but it does more of an absorbing rather than a pulling out, than a detoxing. So that's just how it is here. I mean, like I said in the beginning, Epsom salt is used, you know, in many good things, probably for like pain and things like that. This is a different thing. This is kind of just to pull the toxins out of your body. So yeah, I'm going to wrap it up. It's really great to have you all here. Some new faces, some returning faces. We're excited to do more events like this, bring more powerful people like Scott. I don't know if they will be as moving and determined as he is, but we'll bring a lot of good people here. We're aside from the E system, we're looking to be a hub of just helpful information. And like we told everyone in this town, there's information on both sides, no matter what topic you're talking about. You want to listen to it. You don't, no one's forcing you. But it's the best thing to hear both sides, and then you make your own assumption about it. That was like a mantra that I live by, and listening to so much more new things and having all these doors open to me, I have a whole new perspective on life and consciousness and everything. And I'm just very passionate, just like Jason, just like Scott, and everybody to pull that message for everybody.
And it's funny you're saying that, because the man that said to us, "Are you going in or are you protesting?" So I said, "We're going in." "Shame on you, shame on you." I said, "Wait, come back, talk about it." No, screaming.
I don't even want to talk about it.
I'm like, just talk about it.
My dream is to see a protest in the streets for raise of
Thank you all.